You are here now, and that is enough. Let the day loosen its grip like sand slipping from an open palm. A small lamp glows on a bedside table, and its circle of light feels safe and steady. Beyond the lamp, the darkness is gentle, like a soft blanket spread by a caring friend. In that warm circle, the Gospel of Luke opens like a slow dawn. No flash, no shout, only a widening brightness that invites your shoulders to lower and your jaw to rest. Before we wander far, let the room become a sanctuary. Feel the mattress hold your weight and the pillow cradle your head. Listen for the quiet, the hush of a fan, the murmur of night, a distant sound softening into stillness. With every breath, the noise of the day walks down the hallway and closes a door behind it. Luke's opening lines are for nights like this: careful, ordered, trustworthy, offered by a gentle historian who wants tired hearts to rest. So before you fully relax, take a moment to like and subscribe, only if you truly enjoy this. Leave a comment with your location and time. I love seeing where everyone is listening from. Now, dim the lights, let the fan hum softly, and let's begin tonight's journey. Luke tells us he investigated everything carefully from the start, so that we may know the story with certainty. Picture him as a physician of the soul. Clean instruments laid out, hands washed, a calm voice at your bedside. He is not in a hurry and not trying to impress you. He has come to share what is true, what is gentle, and what is healing. The one he writes about moves toward the tired, the overlooked, the anxious, toward people like you and me when the day has been long. Close your eyes if you wish, and let the night sound like gentle waves. Luke's prologue is a shoreline, each sentence a ribbon of assurance. Many have written and witnessed. Certainty here is not a fist, but an open hand. Let your breath frame tonight's page. As you settle, imagine Luke laying soft rugs across a chilly floor, a priest in a quiet temple, a young woman greeted, a village startled by good news. First comes this promise. The story is tended with care. Facts are gathered and arranged. You need not brace for confusion. A reliable hand will carry you. Perhaps your day was a scatter of unfinished tasks, unread messages, and unspoken worries. Maybe you wore a brave face for others, and now that brave face is tired too. Let it rest. Luke's tone is a warm hand on your shoulder. He sees the lonely heart that wonders if peace is a luxury reserved for other people. He hears the quiet thought that says, "I am too behind to lie down." Tonight, you are not behind. You are being met. Rest is not a prize to earn, but a gift that arrives like evening tide over sand. We will use only a few quoted words tonight, small enough to cup like water. Hear them as a whisper. Do not be afraid. That phrase will glimmer along Luke's road like lanterns. And even here at the beginning, the book hums with its music. Do not be afraid to slow your breathing. Do not be afraid to set down your defenses. Do not be afraid to let hope take a chair near your bed and keep watch while you sleep. Luke addresses his account to someone named Theophilus, God-lover. It is a name that can be yours as you lie here. If you have loved God with questions, you are a Theophilus. If you have loved God with doubts, you are a Theophilus. If you are not sure you have loved God at all, yet some small spark glows anyway, you are a Theophilus tonight. This story arrives as hospitality. It sets a place for you, without asking whether you have tidied your life first. Imagine the room where Luke wrote, "Lamplights, you will see the wide sweep, promises remembered and hopes kept. And you will notice small human things, a woman's smile, a child's laughter, a fisherman's sore hands. The large and the little share a single frame, the way they do in your day, errands and prayers, dishes and dreams. If sleep begins to arrive, it is welcome. Let it come like a boat sliding into harbor. If you remain awake, drift on these images. A path through olive trees silvered by moonlight. The sound of sandals on dust. The soft syllables of prayers moving like wind through leaves. Luke trusts that telling the truth beautifully is part of the truth itself. He places patterns where chaos seemed to sit, and draws lines between moments that felt isolated. The story is not random. Your life is not random either. Take another unhurried breath. Feel the bed supporting you. Trust the ordinary kindness of cotton and gravity, of pillow and sheet. Luke's careful beginning blesses ordinary things too. Meals shared, roads walked, doors opened. The holy will wear the plain clothes of your evening. Peace is not far. It is near enough to touch, near as your breath meeting the night air. And if your mind tries to sprint ahead, invite it back with a single word. Here. Here is where you are. Here is where the light widens. If one line could settle on your pillow, let it be this. The story is sound, and it is for you. Let the worries that kept you alert begin to unhook one by one, like buttons from a coat you no longer need to wear to bed. Tomorrow can hold what it must. Tonight can hold you. Under the quiet watch of this gospel's opening, loneliness begins to loosen. It does not vanish by force. It lifts as love stands nearby, only present. Rest, dear heart. The story has begun, and you are safe within it. Picture a small courtyard in the hill country, where evening cools the stones. A lantern hangs from a beam, and its warm circle of light holds two figures. An older couple who have carried many seasons together. Their names are Zachariah and Elizabeth. Their hands are gentle from years of prayer. Wrinkles gather kindly at the corners of their eyes. They have lived long with a hope that never became a child. And like you, they know the ache of dreams that sit on the porch and never quite come in. Tonight, we keep company with their waiting, not to stir the ache, but to learn the quiet art of rest. Long before this lantern glow, Zachariah went about his priestly work in Jerusalem. The temple rose white and quiet, and incense lifted like breath into a morning sky. It was his once-in-a-lifetime moment to enter the holy place and set the incense aflame while the people prayed outside. In that hush, the angel stood at the right side of the altar, and fear leapt through Zechariah as swiftly as a startled bird. The messenger's voice was steady, like a hand catching that bird mid-air. "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Only this small line, small enough to hold, small enough to carry to bed." A lantern hung at eye level in the dark. The news was impossibly tender. Their prayer had been heard. Elizabeth would bear a son. He would turn hearts homeward, prepare the way, make straight paths for a weary people stumbling in shadows. Zechariah, steady man that he was, trembled in the place where fact and hope meet. He asked for a way to hold this promise firmly, and the sign he received was silence. The holy pause, the unspeaking season. He walked out to the waiting crowd, unable to explain, a hand pressed to his mouth like a seal of snow upon the noise of many years. Silence is not punishment here. It is a cradle. When words fall away, what remains is listening. And listening is how trust grows roots. Imagine Zechariah at home, the lantern playing gently over the table as he writes on a small tablet. The curves of his letters become prayers. Elizabeth sees the quiet and understands more than words could say. Their house becomes a sanctuary of pauses. The slow preparation of a meal, the brushing of dust from sandals, the way they sit in companionable stillness and let hope knit itself without hurry. Elizabeth conceives, and joy enters softly, like first light touching the edge of a window. The neighbors do not yet know. The blessing is still a secret song. Old shame loosens its grip. Elizabeth does not praise her body's strength. She praises God's remembering. She shelters this surprise the way you might shelter a candle against wind. Not from fear it will go out, but from reverence that it has been given. Trust in your own life may grow this way too, in a corner, under gentle guard, while the world is busy with louder things. Let the story teach you a new rhythm. When promises arrive, we do not have to announce them at once. We can rest beside them and let them breathe. In the hush, anxiety finds fewer footholds. In the hush, God is not performing tricks for us. God is a companion, sharing quiet with those who have learned to wait. And if you have been waiting long, you already know something the quick do not learn quickly. Love is patient, and patience is a deep bed for weary hearts. In time, the secret becomes a celebration. Neighbors gather, midwives smile. The older couple hold a newborn whose name rides on the air like a fresh breeze. On the 8th day, relatives assume he will be called Zechariah, a respectable echo of his father's story. But Elizabeth speaks with new steadiness. His name is John. A simple sentence, yet it ripples with courage. Silence had taught them to listen. Listening taught them to obey. Obedience now teaches them to rest, even when others are puzzled. Zechariah is offered the chance to confirm it. He reaches for the tablet, as he has done through these quiet months, and writes the same truth that has been growing in their home. His name is John. With that, his voice returns like a river freed of winter's ice. But notice the order. Faith did not bloom from a flood of words. Words returned after faith had quietly rooted. Zechariah's first speech is not an argument. It is a blessing. He looks at the child, at the gathered faces, at the sky that has watched over so many of their nights. And he blesses the Lord who remembers mercy. He sees the long road of promises kept, from Abraham's tent to this small courtyard, and the future road where his child will walk ahead, pointing people toward dawn. He is not trying to solve everything in a single sentence. He is naming light where light is given, and for now, that is enough. You might feel the resonance in your own bones. There are things you cannot make happen by talking faster or trying harder. Perhaps you have rattled the doorknob of heaven until your hands were sore. Tonight, let your hands rest open on the blanket. Receive the possibility that silence can serve you. The unproductive hour, the unsent message, the prayer that is simply breath. In the temple, the angel said, "Do not be afraid." In the hill country, the silence continued that sentence. The pause after a promise is not emptiness. It is where peace settles and finds its shape. Listen to the house, the soft creak of wood, the quiet steps of neighbors leaving, the small sleeping sounds of a brand new child. Elizabeth's laughter is lower now, fuller, like a cello. Zechariah closes the door and stands a long time looking at the moon on the courtyard stones. He thinks of all the times he tried to lift a hope that felt heavier than his arms. Now, hope rests in a bassinet, and his task is not to heave it upward, but to keep watch while it sleeps. When you cannot speak your way out of worry, you can keep watch. When the future feels unshapable, you can light a lantern, prepare a simple meal, and bless the day that was given. You can be like Elizabeth, guarding a quiet joy until the right time. You can be like Zechariah, learning that the absence of words can be full of presence. In your silence, God is not absent. In your waiting, you are not forgotten. The story you are in has steps arranged with more care than you can see. As night folds itself around the hill country home, let it fold around you too. Breathe slowly. If a thought tries to hurry you, let it pass like a traveler continuing down the road. Trust is not a sprinting thing. It is the steady warmth that comes from shared quiet. The child named John will grow and call the people to clear a path for peace. But tonight, the path is cleared in you. By stillness, by a lamp that does not flicker, by the knowledge that joy, when it arrives, does not shout. It settles, and then it sings. If you need a single phrase to keep, take this. Mercy unfolds. Not all at once, not in a flash that blinds your eyes, but like a letter opened gently, like dawn extending its soft hand across the fields. Mercy unfolds in Zechariah's pause, in Elizabeth's laughter, in the first sleepy cries of a promised child. Mercy unfolds in your room as you rest, without spectacle, without striving. Let your shoulders lower another inch. Let your breath lengthen. Let the silence be a cradle, and sleep find you there. Think of a quiet room in Nazareth, where afternoon light rests on a low table. A clay jar cools in the shade. A spindle leans against a woven basket. A young woman sits by the window, fingers still from work, heart steady in the ordinary rhythm of the day. She is Mary. There is no stage, only the holiness of a small life tended well. Into this unremarkable quiet, a messenger arrives as sunrise arrives, without knocking, altering nothing, yet changing everything. "Greetings, favored one," he says, and favored sounds less like applause and more like belonging. The air shifts with promise. Fear flickers. Breath shortens. The voice holds her gently. "Do not be afraid." The sentence is a hand at her back, steadying her onto a boat so she does not lose balance. Listening becomes space, and space becomes courage. What she hears is not a blueprint, but a blessing. A child will come, long expected. A promise wrapped in swaddling and prophecy. Mary is not asked to construct a future. She is invited to welcome it. Construction strains. Welcome opens. She chooses the softer, braver path and lets her life become a doorway. Questions rise like birds startled from a tree. How will this be? What about Joseph, the neighbors, the knots of reputation and routine? The messenger does not chase the birds. He points to faithfulness already underway. Elizabeth in her late season, the quiet strength of God moving when no one expected. Promises are making room. Wind calms in Mary's chest. "Let it be to me," she answers. The words are small enough for a whisper, strong enough to carry a world. The room widens beyond Nazareth. The window looks onto centuries of waiting now crossing her threshold. Yet the yes itself is simple. A hand unclenched. A release of should and must. The exhale after a deep breath. Mary is not trying to be a legend. She is faithful at a window in a quiet room. Soon she travels south, feet quick with quiet joy. The path winds through hills. Rosemary brushes her skirt, stones warm under sun. The journey is long enough for second thoughts, yet they do not stay. Each step teaches the rhythm of consent. One foot, then the other. One breath, then the next. The world is large, but peace keeps pace when we consent to the good. Elizabeth's door opens, and welcome rises like a hymn. Carrying her own miracle, she feels her child leap as if music struck a chord. She blesses Mary, not for her resume, but for her trust, for believing what she heard. There is no competition here, only shared light. The way two lamps near each other make the whole table brighter. Mary answers with a song that needs no instruments. She sings of reversal and mercy, of the low lifted and the hungry filled, of promises remembered the way a mother remembers the feel of a child's hand. Her voice is clear, but not loud. The tone used to tuck someone in. Assurance that the world, though sharp and uneven, is held by strong, kind hands. The melody is humble and sure. In the days that follow, the two women make a sanctuary from ordinary tasks. They sweep, stir, and mend, speaking softly about dreams finally stepping into the open. They are midwives for each other's courage. When anxious thoughts try the door, they answer with presence. Mary kneeling to bind a strap on Elizabeth's sandal. Elizabeth placing extra bread in Mary's hand for the road ahead. Peace looks like this. Ordinary kindness, repeated without hurry. Notice how humility holds the room together. Mary does not grasp at control. She holds her yes like a candle cupped from the wind. Humility is not shrinking. It is spaciousness. It makes room for God to be God, and for us to be human, small, steady, beloved. When humility takes the chair by your bed, worries find fewer places to sit. You do not have to rule the night. You are allowed to rest in it. If you need a line to settle on your pillow, borrow one from Mary's window. Let it be. Not resignation, not defeat. Consent to goodness you did not manufacture. Let it be the blanket pulled to your shoulders, the quiet agreement that you are not alone in carrying what tomorrow will bring. Let it be the courageous decision to rest, because rest is how courage breathes. As evening gathers in Elizabeth's house, lamps are trimmed and shadows lean kindly across the floor. Mary hums while she tidies a bowl. Elizabeth sits, one hand over her child, the other extended to the young woman who has become her companion. Outside, the hills keep ancient watch. Inside, two hearts keep watch in return. Not anxious, not fretting, simply attentive. The future is approaching, and so is sleep. Both will arrive more gently because of this companionship. If you are listening with worry perched on your shoulder, let Mary's yes be the weight that helps it fly into the dark. You do not need every answer to find rest. Hold a small, sturdy yes. Yes to being loved. Yes to being guided. Yes to believing mercy is already at work behind the scenes. Consent to the good you can see, and entrust the good you cannot. When you turn toward sleep, imagine that window in Nazareth again. The jar in the shade, the basket by the wall, the stillness after the messenger left. The room is the same, yet everything is different, because the heart inside it has consented to hope. Humble surrender has opened space for peace to take up residence. That same peace is near you now, patient as dew, soft as breath, faithful as morning. Lie back. Let your spine unwind and your shoulders lower. Let your yes be as easy as an exhale. The night is a cradle, and the one who first came by a teenager's consent comes to your bedside too. not demanding, not loud, simply present. Do not be afraid. Let it be. Night settles over Bethlehem like a shawl drawn carefully across tired shoulders. The roads that were noisy in the daylight are quiet now. Doors are latched, lamps trimmed low, conversations finished with soft laughs and drowsy goodnights. Beyond the houses, a field leans into the dark. Sheep shift in their sleep. A soft rustle, like wind through tall grass. The air smells of dust and bread, and the faint sweetness of olive smoke. You can feel how the world is holding its breath without realizing it. Joseph and Mary have come because rulers count what they do not carry. The journey has been long, days of steady walking, pauses for water, small meals in the shade. The steady thud of sandals on the road. Joseph watches the ground for stones. Mary watches her breath and the life turning within her. By the time they reach the little town, evening is spilling through the streets. Every spare corner has taken in someone's cousin, friend, or stranger. Doors open to apologies and close to accommodate another weary family. Kindness is real here, but space is smaller than kindness tonight. There is, at last, a place not made for guests, but welcoming to them anyway. The shelter is simple, the way of things that do not pretend. A manger stands nearby, rough-hewn and honest. The kind of object that does its work without asking to be noticed. Mary's labor begins, as labor always does. Not ideal, not tidy, but surrounded by faces that love and hands that help. Time slows into breath and effort, into waiting and steady encouragement. And then, in the hinge of an hour that looks ordinary on a calendar, the child is born. A cry, first edge of air inside new lungs. Then the calm that follows skin against skin. Swaddling cloths do their quiet work, holding small arms close, inviting rest to take root. Joseph's eyes brim with gratitude that feels older than language. He is not the architect of this moment. He is its witness and protector. His yes now joined to Mary's yes. The manger becomes a bed, because that is what love does. Transforms what is at hand into what is needed. The straw gives a gentle rustle. The night, having held its breath, exhales. Out in the fields, a few shepherds keep watch. Their job is not glamorous, but it is faithful. They know the shape of their hills by touch, the weight of their coats, the names of sheep that wander. Their fire is small and sufficient. They sit on stones that have cooled since late afternoon. Tiredness hums in their bones like a low note. They are the sort of people a city forgets, and God remembers. Light arrives as music sometimes does. First a note that seems like a trick of the ear, then a chord that feels inevitable. An angel stands near, and fear flickers through the shepherds like wind through dry grass. The message is a steadying hand. Do not be afraid. The words hang in the cold air like a lantern, lighting faces worn by weather and work. News follows, plain and beautiful as bread. A child has been born. A savior. A gift laid close to the earth so the lowliest can reach. The sign is not a throne, but swaddling and a manger. The glory that terrifies also makes this night tender. The sky unfurls a chorus, not to impress, but to reveal what is true. A multitude meets the dark with song, and even if you cannot recall the whole hymn, a line threads softly into memory. On earth, peace. The shepherds do what rested hearts often do. They move. Not with frenzy, not with the panic of scarcity, but with the eager calm of people stepping toward kindness they did not expect. They leave one of their own with the flock, because faith is not careless. And they set out toward the town where lamps burn low, and a quiet miracle sighs between two parents. Their feet know the paths, their eyes search for open doors. They find the shelter as one finds a story already begun, humbly, respectfully, without insisting on center stage. They kneel, not because someone commands it, but because the scene invites such a posture. A young mother, a steady father, a newborn sleeping in a place not designed for cradles, and therefore perfect for this night's honesty. The shepherds speak in low voices, sharing the light that found them. The parents listen, their fatigue woven with wonder. It is enough to look and breathe and be here. Mary gathers the words as a careful woman gathers lace from a loom. She does not rush to analyze, she stores. The night has been full, journey, labor, birth, and now voices from the fields testify to what heaven has announced. She holds it, all the way a heart holds a lullaby, not louder, just deeper. Joseph stands nearby, a wall against drafts, a presence that steadies the room. Outside, a donkey stamps once, settles again. Inside, love makes the simplest furniture beautiful. Think of the sign the shepherds were given. Swaddling cloths, a manger. The holy was not hidden in rare metals or unreachable towers. It rested in accessibility, in poverty without bitterness, in simplicity that dignifies rather than shames. For anyone who has felt small or unseen, this is how peace begins. Not as a parade you can only watch, but as a child you can approach. A story you can enter without ticket or title. If the door of your day felt closed, this door is open. The shepherds return to their flock with steps that do not deny weariness, but carry it differently. Their world is the same: sheep to count, fires to tend, mornings to meet. But their sense of place within it has shifted. They are not on the edges of God's attention. They are within it. They tell others what they saw and heard, not to be remarkable, but to be grateful. Gratitude, like the manger, is ordinary and transformative. If you are lying here with thoughts that keep rearranging themselves into worry, let this scene rearrange them into blessing. You do not have to move far to come near. You do not have to know what tomorrow demands to rest inside tonight. The child sleeps. The world keeps vigil without noise. Let the air of your room cool your forehead. let your hands lie open on the blanket. If tears come, they can be as natural as condensation on a clay jar, evidence that warmth has met coolness, that life is present. Picture the last moments before sleep takes the house. Mary dozes, then wakes to soothe, then sleeps again. Joseph listens to the night the way a good guard listens, aware, gentle, unafraid. The shepherds, some distance away now, settle near their fire, talking in the low tones of people who have seen something too kind to shout about. The angels are not visible, but their song lingers the way a fragrance lingers after bread is taken from the oven. Peace is not an idea repeating. It is a presence staying. If you need a word to carry into rest, choose one of the night's small words. Near. God has come near. Not in theory, but in straw and breath, in swaddling and skin, in the quiet cooperation of two faithful hearts. Near means you do not have to climb. You can exhale. Near means the distance between your longing and comfort has shortened. Near means a manger where you expected a locked door. Let your breathing find a slow rhythm. In through your nose. Pause. Out through parted lips. Feel the bed receive your weight the way the earth received the child. Without judgment. With steady welcome. Let the story keep watch while you sleep. The fields will be there in the morning. The work too. But tonight, the song has already reached them. Tonight, the small town is large with mercy. Tonight, the lonely heart is not alone. Morning opens over Jerusalem. On the temple hill, doors sigh and footsteps echo. Among the worshippers walks a man whose pace is careful but steady. His name is Simeon. Time has lined his face, and the habit of hope has kept his eyes bright. He has lived by a promise that gave no date, only a direction. Keep walking. He begins as always, hands washed, prayers whispered, attention lifted. Nearby, a widow named Anna is awake to the hour. She has made prayer her dwelling as others make houses, and long years have not dried her gratitude. She moves like a small flame that does not tire of burning. Into this steady place arrive a young mother and a carpenter with travel dust on their hems, carrying a child who has barely met the world. They are ordinary in every way that matters and every way that saves. They have come to bless and present their child under the wide mercy that cradles Israel. They are not expecting an audience, only to be small and grateful in a holy place. Simeon's breath catches. The promise that held his spine through many winters rises from a whisper to a bell. He steps toward the couple, not with the entitlement of age, but with the gentleness learned by long waiting. He asks, and Mary places the child in his arms. Weight settles into his forearms, warm and exact, the way truth sits when it is no longer an idea. Tiny fingers curl, reflex and blessing. For a moment, Simeon says nothing. The temple's hum continues. Footsteps, murmurs, the clink of a coin. but in the small circle where he stands, eternity leans close. Then words come, not as performance, but as release. He blesses God for keeping a promise in a way only God would think to keep it. So small, so near, so wholly within reach. He is ready to rest now, because as he whispers, "My eyes have seen your salvation." His blessing turns toward the family, and his voice softens like a grandfather who loves without possession. He names light for the nations and glory for a people who have traveled long. He does not pretend the road will be smooth. He does not wrap the future in bows. He speaks truth that will require courage, and still his tone is peace. Mary listens like a harbor, taking in the tide without losing her shape. Joseph stands near, the silent strength of a good shelter. Across the stones, Anna approaches, drawn by the same quiet magnet. Her steps are swift despite years, her eyes bright with recognition that feels like morning after a long storm. She does not ask for proof. She erupts in gratitude and begins to tell anyone nearby who has been longing. Her words scatter like birds when bread is broken. Quick, joyful, irresistible. She is weighted in worship, and worship becomes witness. See how waiting prepared them. Waiting did not make them hard. It made them tender and attentive. It did not shrink their world. It widened it to include the slow and the unnoticed. When the promise arrived, they were not surprised by humility. Patience had trained them to expect God at ground level, in arms and breath, in faces and footsteps. Receiving is its own art. Perhaps you have been waiting on an answer, a turn, a thaw in the weather of your life. Waiting can feel like a long hallway where each door is quiet and you are unsure which to knock upon. Tonight, Simeon and Anna keep you company there. They show how to breathe in such hallways, not shallow with hurry, but deep with trust. Light small lamps along the baseboards. Bless faithfully. Keep a gentle schedule. Notice arrivals. Share the good with the willing. Peace grows where such practices repeat. Notice too how this scene honors age. Our world often treats age as retreat, but here age is arrival. Simeon and Anna are not sidelined. They are centered because they have rehearsed this moment with patient days. Their years are not an argument against usefulness. They are an argument for depth. If you are older, take comfort. Your long fidelity may tune others to joy. If you are younger, take comfort. The future you is being shaped by the habits you adopt now. Mary receives Simeon's words and adds them to the handful already stored. Some of what he says is mysterious, not because it is dark, but because it is bright in a way her eyes are not yet used to. She does not push away the part that will be costly. She acknowledges that joy and sorrow often travel the same road, and that love, to be true, walks both. She holds her child and breathes, and in that breath is the courage of 1,000 mothers. Joseph pays the small price of the poor for the offering, and it is enough. Enough is a holy word in this place. Enough cloth to wrap, enough coin to give, enough strength to stand. The temple does not demand what they do not have. It sanctifies what they can bring. If scarcity has shadowed your day, let this gentleness settle in you. Enough can be consecrated. Enough can be beautiful. Enough can carry you to sleep. The family turns to go, and the old friends remain in the court, blessing the path with their eyes. Simeon lifts his hands a little, palms open, as if returning a borrowed book in perfect condition. Anna's lips move in prayer that sounds like the sea heard from far away. Constant, calming, beyond hurry. The city continues. Vendors call, children chase, pigeons rise and settle. But the morning has been filled with a quiet story that will keep bright long after lamps are trimmed. Carry a line from this scene to your pillow. Seen and held. Simeon saw. Anna praised. Mary held. In your own night, ask for grace to see what is present, to praise the good that arrives, and to hold the gift you can touch. You do not need to predict the plot or solve the future. Open your hands like old Simeon. Let gratitude rise like Anna. Keep and ponder like Mary. And walk on like Joseph into an afternoon washed with peace. Now let your breathing fall into an easy tide. The promise has come within arm's length. Your room is a temple. Your bed, a bench where witnesses rest after long watch. Close your eyes. The light that found Simeon finds you. The song that rose in Anna's chest hums over you. Enough is here. Rest. Morning in Nazareth begins with small sounds. Water into a basin. A door slid open. Sandals lifted from their peg. Years have passed, and the child has become a boy, with calm eyes and a steady way of listening. He is 12 now, a liminal age, old enough to ask questions that carry far, young enough to keep wonder unguarded. Joseph planes a board. Mary folds cloth. Above their work, the sky is simple and full. As each year, they travel to Jerusalem for the feast. Neighbors gather in loose caravans, cousins trading stories, boys with small packs. The road threads through hills the color of warm bread. Jesus walks near his parents at first, then drifts to where elders recite psalms. He listens, storing cadences like a gardener stores rainwater. Jerusalem opens like a bright square. The temple gleams. Stone holds heat and echo. Pilgrims climb steps with the slow dignity of devotion. Jesus watches, attentive without strain. He lets the rhythms of worship settle into him like a tune that will be whistled for years. When it is time to return, the travelers gather again. Children walk with cousins or neighbors. This is considered safe. Mary and Joseph move with familiar faces, trusting the pattern. They assume Jesus is among the young ones ahead. Only in late afternoon, when shadows lengthen and cooking fires are imagined ahead, does the pattern feel off. Mary asks a cousin if he has seen the boy. A shrug. Joseph asks an uncle. Another shrug. Assurance falters. Husband and wife step out of the flow and begin to look with intention. They search the edges first, then the middle, then faces both known and new. The air sharpens with worry that does not want a name. Night approaches. They turn back toward the city, hearts too full to speak. Worry is a fast walker. Mary remembers his infant breaths, the weight of him on those first nights when she counted tiny fingers in lamplight. Joseph remembers tools shaped for small hands. The friendly road feels long now. They enter the gates as lamps are being lit, asking at stalls and doorways if anyone has seen a boy from Galilee with gentle eyes. The first night is the practice of not giving up. Morning reveals a city busy as ever, unaware of their ache. They search markets and wells, streets that smell of grain and iron. They pause at doorways to listen for familiar laughter. On the second evening, Mary sits on a low step and presses her hand to her chest as if to steady a sparrow. Joseph keeps their small purse and their courage. He suggests the temple again, not because it is likely, but because holy places help the heart stand. On the third day, they climb the steps once more. The courts hum with debate and teaching, scrolls opening and closing with dry whispers, questions tossed and caught like smooth stones. They find him, Jesus, seated among teachers with beards like riverbanks and voices trained by years of scripture. He listens with a stillness that honors, asks questions that open like doors, offers answers not rehearsed, yet sound. Those who hear him sense a rightness beyond his age, quiet, steady, sure. Mary's breath returns in a rush that is almost laughter and almost tears. She steps near, decorum thinned by relief. Child, why have you treated us so? The question is not accusation. It is the heart's ache asking for a story it can hold. Jesus turns and the room's edges soften. Did you not know I must be in my Father's house? One sentence, light enough to carry, strong enough to anchor. Joseph lowers his shoulders. Mary stores the words without forcing an answer. She will keep them with the others she has treasured. There is no scolding from the teachers, no drama for a crowd. The boy stands, and the circle widens to let the family through. They begin the road home. Slower now, not from shame, but from savoring reunion. Jesus walks between them, and the conversation finds its calm. He asks about a carpenter's trick for strengthening a joint unnoticed from the outside. He listens as Mary describes a woman at a market who blessed them without knowing why. He receives ordinary wisdom like bread, no crumb wasted. Back in Nazareth, the days resume their gentle cadence. The table is set. Shavings from Joseph's work sweep into neat piles. Mary hums while kneading dough. Jesus grows, not by leap, but by steady line. Wisdom stretching like morning. Favor unfolding like a quiet vine along a sunlit wall. He learns to hold a tool without forcing it, to bless a task by finishing it, to give thanks before there is plenty. He learns that questions can be gifts wrapped in patience. For those listening tonight with worry perched where sleep should be, Notice the rhythm. Lost, sought, found, returned. Worry wants to sprint. Peace is content to walk. Mary and Joseph did not abandon the trusted patterns of care. They searched, they asked, they returned to holy ground. Perhaps you are somewhere in this rhythm. Perhaps you are between sought and found. If so, breathe the way they must have breathed. Slowly, steadily, refusing the lie that love has forgotten the way. Hold a brief phrase on your tongue as you rest. Found in the house. It may not be a building. It may be a practice. Prayer before panic. A walk before conclusions. A pause before reply. Wherever wisdom waits quietly, look there first. Jesus did not hide in spectacle. He sat in the middle of listening and asked good questions. The way to peace is often that simple and that brave. As evening gathers in Nazareth, imagine the last light slipping along the lintel. Joseph sets aside his tools. Mary lowers a lamp wick and checks the door. Jesus lies down on a mat woven by hands that love him. Outside, the town quiets. Dogs settling, a late voice calling, stars stepping out. The day that began with searching ends with steadiness. The household sleeps within a promise, not shouted, but sure. Wisdom will meet those who seek it, and love will walk back with the found. Let your body echo that settling. Unclench your jaw. Let your shoulders fall. Breathe as though you are being handed back the very thing you feared was lost. Peace in the center, readily found. Close your eyes. Be held, like a word kept safely in a careful heart. You are home enough for tonight. Morning returns to Galilee with a brightness that doesn't hurry anyone. The lake lies quiet as a sheet of hammered silver. Villagers wake in small ways. Doors eased open, kettles lifted, brooms drawn over thresholds. You can smell damp nets and cooling bread, olive leaves and sun-warmed clay. On such a morning, Jesus walks the familiar road to Nazareth, the town where neighbors still remember his boyhood chores, where every corner holds a memory of wood, shavings, and the steady rhythm of a carpenter's life. He is no stranger here. He is someone you nod to without thinking, until the day you truly see him. The synagogue gathers its people like a shawl gathers shoulders. Sandals scuff the threshold. A few children sit close to their mothers, soothed by the cadence of prayer. An elder unrolls a scroll. Parchment whispers like wind through wheat. Jesus stands to read, hands sure without show. He receives the scroll of Isaiah, the old promise that has kept so many nights from collapsing. The congregation settles into the sound they know well, the sound of a voice rapping ancient words around a present need. He finds the place where captivity meets kindness, where poverty meets good news, where blindness meets touch, where crushed hearts meet air. He lifts his eyes, glancing across faces he knows. A widow who counts coins with care, a laborer whose back is tight with years, a girl who has cried quietly for reasons she cannot name. When he reads, the words are like water in a clay cup, plain and necessary. "Good news to the poor," he says, and a few heads turn. "Liberty to the captives." Someone near the door exhales. "Recovery of sight to the blind." A mother's hands loosen on her lap. "To set free the oppressed." And even the walls seem to lean in. He rolls the scroll, returns it, and sits. The room hushes without effort. This is not the silence of confusion. It is the pause before a seed breaks open under soil. "Today this is fulfilled in your hearing," he says. No trumpet, no flourish. Just a door quietly opening where everyone thought there was only a wall. The words are gentle, but not vague. They carry weight the way a well-made table carries a meal, without wobble, without complaint. In that room, poor does not only mean coin. It means thin places, empty cupboards and empty sighs, crowded grief, and the ache of being unseen. Captive does not only mean cells. It means habits that tighten like knots, fears that stand guard at thresholds, stories that keep you small. Blind does not only mean eyes. It means days when you cannot locate your hope, when the path in front of you blurs, and you call that blur your entire life. Oppressed does not only mean headlines. It means shoulders that have forgotten lightness, hearts that have forgotten laughter, people who have forgotten how to be welcomed. He does not turn these into slogans. He offers presence. He offers nearness. He offers a way of living in which rest is not a weekend, but a breath-by-breath trust. The promise is not somewhere else. It is here. Not after you become someone more impressive. Now, as you are. The news is good because it does not wait for your performance. It arrives like the morning, and your task is to open the shutters. Some who listen are ready. They have been living with their hands open a long time, even when those hands held nothing. Others are cautious. They want to applaud the words but keep distance from the man who speaks them. Familiarity is a comfortable mask. Isn't this Joseph's son? The question is not cruel. It is protective. If hope stays abstract, it cannot disappoint. If hope takes a face, it can ask us to move. Jesus does not scold. He names truth gently. He recalls stories of prophets who carried mercy across borders, kindness beyond expected circles. He says, in effect, that God's wind will blow wider than our fences, and that wide mercy is not a threat, but a relief. Some hearts swell with gratitude at the thought. Some hearts tighten. Love, when it is brave, will always feel too big and too close at first. Outside, the day warms. Inside, the room wrestles with becoming larger than it was. There is a tension. There is also a choice. To stay small is to keep control and keep your worry. To open is to risk astonishment, and to let your burden be lifted by hands you do not manage. The good news is not a new weight to carry. It is weight taken from your shoulders. If you have ever lifted a pail after someone removed half its stones, you know the feeling. The same handle, the same path. A lightness that changes everything. Imagine how these words travel after the service. They go to a courtyard where a woman kneads dough and suddenly notices her breath is long and calm. They go to a shoreline where a fisherman looks at his nets and senses he is not measured by the size of today's catch. They go to a workshop where a young man, bent over a broken stool, realizes repair is a holy calling and not a punishment. They go to a narrow lane where an old man remembers a dream he stopped telling. They go to a child who did not know she could fall asleep without counting what she does not have. The words do not return empty. If you are listening from the place where your chest has felt tight, allow one short line to rest over you like shade. Good news to the poor. Let it include you. If you are listening from a habit that has chained your days, hear this like keys at a door. Liberty to the captives. We keep our promise of few quotations tonight, but their echo is large enough to fill the room without crowding your mind. You do not have to force anything. You have to breathe. Breathe now with that quiet resolve. In for 4. Soft hold for 2. Out for 6. As you exhale, imagine setting down a bundle you have carried too far alone. No one will take your work from you. They will take the weight that is not yours. Rest does not erase responsibility. It restores capacity. It clears the fog from the path you already walk. Later that day, Jesus steps outside and lingers by the doorway. A neighbor nods, shy gratitude in his eyes. Someone asks for a word at a bedside, and he goes. He moves through the village not as a celebrity, but as a servant whose hands have the memory of craft, able to bless what is ordinary because he once made ordinary things strong. In the evening, he stands by the lake, and the wind lays a calm palm upon the water. Peace is not loud. It has a way of arriving and staying. Let this be the line you carry to your pillow. Fulfilled here. Not someday. Not after the to-do list adores you. Not when you finally become a different person. Fulfilled here. In a room where you are breathing. In a body that has worked and can now rest. In a mind that has tried to hold everything and can now hold only enough. Lay your head down as though the scroll has just been returned to its place, and the promise is quietly taking root in you. The lake's silver has dimmed to pewter. Lamps are lit in small squares of light along the shore. Somewhere, a mother hums while dragging a stool across stone. Somewhere, a man stares at the first uncomplicated sky he has seen in months. Somewhere, you close your eyes, and the captive parts of you feel a door swing inward. The night will be your witness. Sleep will be your agreement. Peace has come near, and near is enough. Dawn drifts slowly onto the lake, the way a soft cloth is laid over a table before breakfast. Mist hovers in low veils. The water holds the last grey of night, then begins to consider blue. Along the pebbled shore, boats bump against their moorings with a patient tap, tap, like an old lullaby. Fishermen move with the practiced quiet of people who work while others sleep. Nets are gathered, not with celebration, but with the careful resignation of a fruitless night. Salt on skin, ache in shoulders, the thin taste of tired hope. Simon stands knee-deep, rinsing lines that have kept him awake and given him nothing. A friend drags a net across stones, its weights knocking softly like beads. They say little. Empty has a sound of its own, hollow and steady, a rhythm a body recognizes. Empty makes you efficient with words. A small crowd appears at the edge of the morning. Jesus has come to the water, as he often does. He is not there to critique their skill. He is there to share their shoreline. People press close, hungry for the kind of speech that lands gently and stays. Sand shifts under sandals. The sun begins to find faces. Jesus steps into Simon's boat and asks for a little distance from the land, just enough for the water to become a quiet amplifier. Simon steadies the craft, one hand to the gunwale, and the oars give a soft, welcome groan. From the boat, Jesus teaches. His voice carries as if the lake were a kind friend. He speaks of a kingdom that moves close to ordinary lives, of burdens lightened and doors opened, of the poor heard and the captives eased. On the shore, a child leans into a mother's skirt. An old man closes his eyes to listen better. In the boat, Simon lets the words wash through him like the lake through a net. Over, under, around. Something in his chest loosens, though he cannot yet name what. When the teaching slows into silence, Jesus turns to the work that has not worked. "Put out into the deep," he says, "and let down your nets for a catch." The sentence is simple and inconvenient. Simon glances toward the sky that is brightening too quickly for fishing. He knows how this lake behaves, knows the right hours and the wrong ones. He also knows his hands and the night they just survived. His mouth moves before his agreement does. "Master, we toiled all night and took nothing." Empty has a way of writing the first draft of our replies. But a second sentence follows, and it changes everything. "Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the nets." The boat noses toward deeper water. The oars slip and lift. A few gulls wheel and cry, then settle. Simon's arms remember their strength. The net unfurls with a softened hiss, a familiar sound he has heard since boyhood. The last float leaves his palm, and water accepts the offering. What happens next does not shout, it surges. The net grows heavy, as if the lake itself has agreed to rise. Simon's hands burn as he tightens his grip. The corks dance, the weights strain. The line hums with abundance. He calls to partners on the shore, and their boat rushes outward, slicing a trail through the morning's glass. 4 hands become 8, then more. Laughter cracks open where complaint had settled. Shouts of surprise carry across water that shimmers with silver backs. 2 boats fill, not with a tidy stack, but with living plenty, a tumbling, flashing refusal to stay small. For a breath, Simon cannot stand in the joy. He sinks into awe. Knees touch wet planks. The overpowering nearness of goodness bears the distance he feels between who he wished to be and who he has been. "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man," he whispers, an honest confession wrapped in confusion. But Jesus does not step away. He steps closer, into the rocking circle of Simon's life, and offers the steadying he needs. "Do not be afraid." Then a new direction, gentle and immense. From now on, you will catch people. The boats, heavy with fish, angle back toward the shore. The crowd parts with laughter and pointing, a mixture of amazement and relief. Because blessing at the water's edge feels like blessing for everyone. Nets pour their silver onto the stones. The air smells bright, like scales and lake and new beginnings. Simon looks at the impossible morning and realizes that the greatest gift is not the fish. It is the presence who filled the emptiness and then invited him into a different work. He and his companions do the thing that looks foolish from far away, but inevitable from close by. They leave the abundance on the beach and follow the one who gave it. They do not despise their craft. They reimagine it. The skills of patience, attention, teamwork, and timing do not retire. They are baptized into a larger mercy. The same lake that taught them to watch the wind now teaches them to watch a heart. If you are listening with your own empty nets near your feet, let this scene be a slow balm. There are nights when effort earns only exhaustion, when honest work meets closed water, when every knot is tied correctly and still nothing comes home. You are not failing. You are human in a world that does not bend to us on command. Here again the inconvenient kindness. Put out into the deep. It is not an insult to your competence. It is an invitation to trust beyond timing, to consent to try where you are too tired to try. Not because odds have changed, but because presence is in the boat. Perhaps your deep is a conversation you have avoided, a prayer you have stopped voicing, a rest you keep postponing, a forgiveness you fear will undo you. The deep is not always dramatic. Often it is precisely where you ran out last time. Nevertheless, at his word, lower something again. Your guard, your net, your hurry. Let the water receive it. Not every cast becomes a miracle, but every act of consent becomes a place where peace can land. Notice too how abundance does not end with one person. Simon signals partners. 2 boats lean under blessing. When goodness comes, share quickly. Call others to the weight you cannot carry alone, both in work and in wonder. Conspiracy with mercy is how communities breathe. If you need a phrase to carry as sleep draws near, choose this. Nevertheless, at your word. Let it settle under your ribs like a warm stone. You are allowed to arrive at trust through honesty. You can say, "We have toiled," and then say, "Nevertheless." Faith does not erase fatigue. It companions it toward the shore, where new instructions wait. The day edges on. Fish are salted and stacked. Nets are stretched to dry, their wet shine turning to dull strength for tomorrow. The lake shivers with light, then stills. On the beach, footprints point away from the piles of plenty, toward a teacher walking the curve of the shore. Simon and his friends follow, not because fishing is small, but because love is large. Their hands will still know ropes and wood and oars. Their hearts will learn names and stories. and how to lift a person like a net. Now, let your own breath take the slow shape of a resting lake. In for 4. Hold for a whisper. Out for 6. If your night has been long and your nets are light, hear the kindness. Do not be afraid. The one who steps into your tired boat is not disappointed. He is ready. The morning is not loud. It is true. Empty is not the end. It is the place where deep begins. Lay the nets of your thoughts along the shore of your pillow. Let the water of grace move in and out without your management. If abundance comes tonight, receive it. If quiet comes instead, that is its own mercy. Either way, presence is in the boat. Either way, you are not alone on this water. The house in Capernaum is already breathing with people before the sun lifts fully above the water. Early feet have scuffed the threshold smooth. Sandals rest in a small, haphazard choir by the door. Inside, bodies lean toward a single point, the way sunflowers lean toward light. Jesus is teaching, and the words travel easily along the plastered walls, up the wooden posts, out through the open windows to where latecomers stand on tips of toes. There is no room for more, and still more arrive, drawn by a rumor of mercy that keeps proving true. Along a narrow lane, 4 friends move slowly, like bearers of a small, indispensable fire. They carry a man on a mat, calloused hands gripping woven edges, shoulders taking turns with the weight. They are practiced at this. Friendship has trained their steps and their breath. The man's face carries the quiet of someone who has been looked over, then passed, for a long time. Today he is not alone. Today he is being carried toward a door that will not open because the room has no space left. At the threshold, the crowd is kind but immovable. There are apologies, a few attempts to squeeze a path, the familiar helplessness of good intentions trapped by physics. The man on the mat watches his friends' faces. He knows the look when kindness reaches its limit. The shoulders that slump, the breath that says, "We tried." But these friends have learned to keep walking after the first no. They look up, then at one another, and a different plan settles in the air like a bird deciding on a branch. They carry him up the outside steps, the kind that many houses keep the roof access, their feet careful on the angled stones. The roof is flat and familiar, made for evening conversation and drying herbs. Kneeling, they map the room below by sound, where the voice lands, where the crowd is thickest, where a square of open sky would be useful. Fingers find the packed mixture of mud and straw. Fragments loosen under patient work. Dust lifts like pale incense. A shaft of light pierces the room, and surprised faces tilt upward. The teaching pauses, not with annoyance, but with the expectancy that kindness brings to any interruption. They widen the opening, steady, careful, apologizing as they go with nervous smiles. Then they lower the ropes threaded through the mat's corners, breath synchronized like a simple hymn. Down comes their friend, not with the heroic speed of a rescue, but with the measured grace of people who know the value of a back that does not wrench. The mat descends into presence, and the room holds its breath again. The man, eyes blinking against the indoor light, comes to rest at Jesus' feet, like a prayer coming to rest in a listener's hands. Jesus sees what everybody sees: the dust on their brows, the raw places on their palms, the shining edge of hope in tired eyes. He sees the unspoken promise these friends have made to one another. If you cannot walk, we will walk for you. If you cannot believe, we will hold faith's corner until you can. The first words he speaks are not to muscles or legs. They are to the deep room where shame and fear pile up like unused furniture. "Take heart," he says softly, and then to the man, words that unbind a soul. "Your sins are forgiven." Forgiveness arrives like air in a room that's been closed too long. The man's face changes, but not from spectacle. It changes the way ice changes when the sun lingers. Edges soften, tension releases. A hidden river of relief begins to move. Around him, not everyone understands. There are thinkers who clutch questions like scrolls, and some thoughts question whether such words should be said. In this voice, on this day, in this house. Jesus hears the scratch of those thoughts the way a musician hears a disharmonious string, and does not flinch. He gently asks, which is harder, speaking to a wound no eye can see, or speaking to one that will be obvious to all? Then the sentence that meets both rooms, the visible and the hidden: "Rise, take up your mat, and go home." The words are simple enough to remember on a sleepless night, small enough to hold in one hand of the mind. They ask everything and promise everything, yet they are not shouted. They are offered like bread. The man listens with his whole body. Sleep has often been his best relief. Now a different rest approaches. The rest of being able to stand inside his own life. He moves. First an elbow finding pressure, then a palm, then a shift of weight that feels like stepping into a story he was sure belonged to someone else. Knees ease under him, then feet. The room makes space as water makes space for a boat that belongs. He stands fully, the way a name stands in a sentence when it realizes it is loved. Surprise and gratitude cross his face in waves. He bends, not in hesitation but in ownership, and gathers the mat that once carried him. It is no longer proof of limits. It is a souvenir of mercy. The house exhales as one. Some clap hands against their mouths. Some laugh without meaning to. Some cry the quiet tears that do not announce themselves. The four friends are still at the edge of the opening they made. Their hands shake with relief. They look at one another the way people look when a burden they shared becomes a story they will tell slowly, reverently, for the rest of their lives. The man finds them with his eyes, then with a nod, then with a grin that rises like dawn over the sea. He is not leaving them behind. He is walking with them home. Notice the order written into this moment. First a word that frees the heart, then a word that frees the body. Sleep often refuses to come because the heart is still held fast. Forgiveness unknots what worry cannot. To be told that you are released is to feel your breath lengthen, your jaw ease, your shoulders lower. Tonight, let that order be a blanket. First the inner room, then the outer steps. You may not be called to break a roof open, but you can let mercy open a ceiling in your chest. There is also this. Sometimes you are the one on the mat. Sometimes you are one of the four. And sometimes you are the house that must make room for interruption. Each vocation is holy. If you are carried, let yourself be carried without apology. Yield your weight to steady hands and call it courage. If you are carrying, take turns, drink water, pace yourselves. Love is a marathon of short, ordinary sprints done together. If you are the house, loosen your schedule enough for a hole to be made in your roof for the sake of a healing you did not plan. Repair can come later. Mercy has its moment. When the man steps into the lane, the world sounds different. Birds brighter, vendors kinder, stones less hostile. He carries the mat lightly. He will need it again for ordinary sleep, but it will never again be his whole story. He will pass doorways that once marked the edges of his world and keep walking. He will lie down tonight, not in resignation, but in rest. As you lie down, imagine ropes held by loyal hands, dust drifting in soft sunlight, a face changing because a weight has been lifted from the inside out. Let one phrase keep you company on the way to sleep. Take heart. Another if you need it. Rise. Rising may be slow. It may begin only in spirit, while the body waits its turn. That is not failure. It is the rhythm of many healings. Breathe in as though friends are at your corners. Breathe out as though a mat is becoming light. Let forgiveness be the first word spoken over your night. Let strength be the second. Close your eyes. The house has made room. The ceiling is open to a kinder sky. Peace is lowering you gently into presence. And when morning calls, you will rise into it in the measure that is given. For now, rest under the sentence that turned a crowded room into a sanctuary. Take heart. Go home. Evening takes the shoreline into its arms, and the lake grows a darker shade of blue, the color of a deep breath. Boats lean on sand while men coil ropes and rinse their hands. Jesus steps into one of the boats and sits near the stern, where a cushion has grown familiar. "Let's cross to the other side," he says, like someone suggesting a short walk at dusk. The small crew pushes off. Oars dip and lift with the rhythm of people who know this water. The village shrinks to a string of lamps. Out here, the world is mostly wind, wood, and the hush between waves. The first gust is only a warning, playful even. Then the wind sharpens its voice. Cold arrives with sudden authority. The water's surface roughens and then rises. The boat lifts and drops, slaps and groans, Mets slide. A pot rolls. Breath shortens without being asked. The men move in practiced patterns. Tighten the line, angle the bow, call the wave before it hits. But practice is not mastery when the water stands up like a wall. Spray salts their faces. Fear salts their tongues. The lake, which was a workplace an hour ago, is a mouth now, and it wants to swallow. In the stern, Jesus sleeps. Not the sleep of indifference, the sleep of someone at peace in a world he loves. It is a picture you can carry to your pillow, a storm and a cushion in the same frame, and a presence who is not startled by either. Someone shakes him, words tumbling out because the heart cannot sort them in time. Teacher, we are perishing. It does not sound like a request. It sounds like the truth shouted in a wind. Jesus rises into the rocking night. He speaks to the wind the way a parent speaks to a child who has forgotten its inside voice. The air listens. The water listens. The boat steadies. The storm loses its argument. Silence returns with a weight of relief, the way a heavy blanket returns to a chilled lap. The lake lies down, as if remembering what it loves to be. Jesus looks at the men, faces wet, hands shaking, eyes wide, and asks a question that is not a scold, but an invitation. Where did your trust go? Not, why did you fear? But, where did you set your trust down? It is a question that can tuck under your pillow at night, gentle and useful. Where did I put my trust today? And can I place it nearer before I sleep? Peace, be still, are the few words we keep tonight, small enough to hold, strong enough to steer. The men breathe again, counting new heartbeats as if they were coins salvaged from a tipping table. They look at one another with the startled joy of people who have seen something that will rearrange their stories. And the boat continues, because deliverance is not the whole journey. It is the part that makes the rest possible. On the far shore, cliffs rise like the backs of sleeping beasts, and caves pockmark the land above the waterline. This is the region of the Gerasenes, where a man wanders the tombs in a torment that never rests. Chains have not held him. Neighbors have learned to keep a wide path. He lives in the place where sorrow and fear braid themselves into a constant wind. His voice is not entirely his own. His feet go where he would not choose. If you have ever felt driven by a pain that keeps its own calendar, you know something of his night. When Jesus steps onto the stones, the man is already there, drawn by a magnet deeper than his affliction. He shouts, he falls, he begs, his words skid like frightened birds. Jesus is not startled. He does not flinch from the wildness that has taken up residence in a beloved house. He speaks not to embarrass, but to free. Not to display power, but to end a theft. The unclean misery that has colonized this man protests, bargains, shrieks. It knows it is meeting its ending. The story hints at animals rushing over a cliff, a violence contained and then gone, and we will not dwell there. It is enough to say, chaos leaves by a road it cannot return on. After the storm, and after the unbinding, look, just look, at the man. He is seated now, clothed, and in his right mind. 3 details the gospel keeps small and exact, like the stitches that close a wound. Seated, because rest has to begin somewhere, and a stone will do. Clothed, because dignity returns by layers, and fabric against skin says, "You are not a spectacle, you are a person." In his right mind, because the inner weather has finally changed, and the forecast is calm. Neighbors arrive and see a scene they do not have words for. Sometimes peace is more frightening than chaos, because peace asks you to live differently. They ask Jesus to leave, and he does not argue. He does not force himself on a town that is not ready to receive. Love is strong enough to be gentle, and gentle enough to step back. The man who has been restored asks to go with him. Who wouldn't? But Jesus gives him a different assignment, one not glamorous and impossible to misunderstand. Go home and tell how much God has done for you. Home, the place of ordinary tables and familiar eyes, of people who need a quiet witness more than a dramatic tour. He goes. He becomes a living bedtime story, the kind you can tell without raising your voice. He does not exaggerate the darkness that used to own him. He magnifies the calm that found him. He does not dramatize the pigs. He honors the peace. He returns to doorways that once watched him sprint past, and now watch him pause and greet, and ask about children and bread and weather. He sleeps at night. He wakes without a fear that stands at the foot of the bed. He belongs again. Hold these 2 waters inside one chapter. A lake that forgot itself and remembered. A mind that forgot itself and remembered. In both scenes, presence arrives and speaks, and the word is weighted with a kindness that commands. You do not have to manufacture this word. You can borrow it. If the wind inside you is up, whisper to your own chest, "Be still." If the stories in your head stampede like startled animals, let them go where they cannot run back. Sit. Cover yourself with a blanket that dignifies you. Breathe until your thoughts find chairs. There is no boast here about storms never returning. Lakes still lift. Nights still lengthen. But the cushion remains in the boat, and the invitation remains on the shore. Cross with me. And if you must stay, if your calling is to sit at your own table and tell your people what mercy has done, then your quiet becomes a lighthouse. Others will steer by it without you knowing. Let your body echo the steadying of the lake. Feel the mattress become a soft shoreline under you. Count 4 heartbeats in. Rest for 2. Release for 6. Give the oars back to the one who does not lose them. If you wake in the night, picture a boat, a cushion, a hand on rough wood, a voice that the wind obeys. Picture a man seated, clothed, clear-eyed, grateful. Let both images meet in the middle of your breathing. The storm remembers who is speaking, so will you. The road to Nain curls along a low ridge where wildflowers bow to passing feet. Afternoon light is kind and unhurried. At the town gate, 2 processions draw near to each other, one entering with hope, one leaving with sorrow. The hopeful company is small: Jesus and those who have learned to walk at his pace. The sorrowful one is larger: neighbors, relatives, a rabbi, women with veils damp at the edges. Between them, like a fragile bridge, is a bier carried on steady shoulders. Upon it lies a young man, still as stone. Near the front walks his mother, a widow whose face holds the geography of long faith and recent loss. Grief alters sound. It makes footsteps careful, softens voices, stretches silences. You can hear those silences in the procession. Spaces where someone would have spoken a name, asked a question, laughed at a small story, planned a meal. Absence walks beside them, tall and unmistakable. The town gate, which usually frames market talk and greetings, has become a threshold of farewell. Jesus does not wait aside. He meets grief in the road. He has a way of arriving at intersections we do not plan, roads that carry joy and roads that carry sorrow, converging under one sky. When he sees the woman, something moves in him the way a tide moves under moonlight. Compassion, deep and decisive. He draws near and speaks first to her, because the dignity of grief is to be addressed. His voice is the temperature of a hand held under warm water. "Do not weep," he says. It is not a silencing. It is a promise hidden in a sentence, the kind meant to be fulfilled within the next breath. He reaches and touches the bier. The bearers stop as if a bell has sounded. Touch changes everything here. Not magic, not spectacle, simply presence, refusing to stand at a polite distance from pain. Dust sighs under sandals. The afternoon hush deepens. He speaks again, this time to the stillness that is not meant to be final. "Young man, I say to you, arise." The words are brief as a key and wide as a door. Breath returns like dawn. First a faint light at the horizon, then a line of color, then the world remembering itself. The young man sits up. Where there was a wall, there is a window. Where there was end, there is a turn. He begins to speak. No speech prepared, just the ordinary syllables that prove life is present. Jesus does not lift him high or parade him before the crowd. He gives him to his mother. That sentence is quiet enough to miss and holy enough to keep. He gave him back. It is the shape of mercy, restoring what love has been missing. The street becomes a sanctuary. Some people shout, then cover their mouths, unsure how loud joy is allowed to be in a moment like this. Others cry without apology. The rabbi's eyes shine. Children stand on tiptoe and stare with clean amazement. Praise rises like a flock startled into flight, then circles, then settles as testimony. God has visited the people. The glad terror of holy nearness moves through them. Not terror of harm, but wonder that goodness could be this close and this particular. Do not rush past the widow. Watch her hands. They reach, not with possession, but with reverent relief. This is the face grief wears when it is asked to lay down its burden, and does so willingly. Her shoulders, which have memorized the curve of sorrow, find a new line, lighter, straighter. Tears remain, but now they rinse rather than sting. She is not rescued from love's cost. She is surprised by love's surplus. If you are listening with loss sitting beside you on the bed, breathe gently here. This story does not promise that every beer will turn, that every threshold will reverse its direction. It tells us something about the heart at the center. Compassion moves toward the mourning and touches what others are afraid to touch. It honors grief by addressing it. It honors love by restoring what can be restored and blessing what must be carried. If you have an empty chair in your house, this chapter pulls another chair beside it and sits a while without hurrying you. Notice how community holds the moment. The men who carry do not drop their task when hope arrives. They steady the weight while it changes. The neighbors who cried do not apologize for tears. They become witnesses, eyes still wet. The gate that framed goodbye learns to frame a reunion. Towns carry both, and so do we. You are allowed to walk with the mourners and the rejoicers in a single day, and call it faithful. Consider too how Jesus' words are few. We keep our promise to quote sparingly, and yet what we keep echoes long. Do not weep. Arise. They are not commands meant to shame feeling. They are invitations that steady feeling. At bedtime, set them like 2 small stones on the nightstand, cool and dependable. If your chest tightens, touch one. Do not weep. If your energy fades, touch the other. Arise. Together they describe the compassion that bends down and the strength that lifts up. When news spreads, it carries both wonder and quiet. Not every detail is repeated. Not every speculation is entertained. People say what they know. A widow was not left alone. A son stood up. A teacher touched sorrow and it changed its mind. Those are the bones of the story. Flesh them with grateful breath and they travel well. Let the scene slow now for your own rest. The 2 processions continue, one back into town with altered steps, one on toward the next village, humming with a deeper trust. The sunlight slides along stone walls. A sparrow dips to drink at a shallow bowl. Doors reopen. Somewhere a small pot is set to boil, and a mother listens again for a voice that had been absent from her house. Somewhere a neighbor folds a shawl and thinks of the last funeral, then blesses the memory without bitterness. Somewhere you turn your pillow to the cool side and feel a little less alone. If sleep comes hard because sorrow hovers, give it a task. Ask it to sit by the gate like an usher, acknowledging every memory that passes. Welcome. Yes, you may enter. Yes, you may find a seat. Grief loses some sharpness when it is trusted with a job. And in the middle of its work, let compassion approach, slow, certain, unafraid of your ache. It will not argue with you. It will not tell you to cheer up. It will speak a sentence that holds the future in its palm and the present in its gaze. Do not weep. And where something in you has gone still too long, it will speak another. Arise. Breathe now, as though a procession has paused for you. 4 slow counts in, 2 counts of stillness, 6 counts out. With each exhale, set down a corner of what you're carrying. You are not leaving anyone behind. You are letting love share the weight. If tears come, they are permitted. They are part of how the heart washes itself for rest. If no tears come, that is permitted too. Peace is not measured in water, but in nearness. Near is here. When you close your eyes, picture an open gate and a compassionate hand. Picture a mother's face changing as absence yields to presence. Picture a town learning that holiness walks its streets without fanfare. Let your room borrow that holiness. Let your bed be the bier transformed. Not an emblem of ending, but a place where breath returns and stories continue. And if the night is quiet enough, you may hear it. The soft shift of a procession turning around, and the whisper that promises morning. Evening gathers in a Pharisee's courtyard, where lamps hang like small moons and the air tastes faintly of olives and thyme. Guests recline on low couches around a table that gleams with simple dishes. Bread with crisp edges, bowls of salt, a little honey in a clay cup. Servants pass quietly. Conversation moves like a slow river, respectful and measured. A teacher from Galilee has been invited, Jesus, and curiosity hums beneath the formal welcome. It is the kind of night where reputations sit up straight and keep their robes unwrinkled. At the edge of the courtyard stands a woman the town knows too well. The knowing has not been kind. Her name is spoken when doors close. Her story retold, with edits that grow sharper with each retelling. Shame has its roots, and it has walked them often over her life. But tonight, another route opens in her chest, drawn by rumor of a gentleness that does not flinch. She holds a small alabaster flask against her heart, as if it were a compass. The room does not expect her. Rooms that love tidy lines rarely do. She slips past the threshold, and the first glances rise like startled birds. She does not argue with their flight. She kneels where she has decided to kneel, near the teacher's feet, where road dust writes its quiet story along his skin. She had planned, perhaps, to pour and go, to keep the moment small. But love sometimes outruns rehearsal. Tears arrive, unapologetic, uncoaxed. They fall, and where they fall, the dust loosens into small, dark constellations. She bends, and her hair, once a banner for the wrong kind of attention, becomes a towel of reverence. She dries what her tears have cleansed. Then she breaks the flask's neck and lets fragrance open like a garden at dusk. Scent changes rooms before words can. The perfume breathes against clay and linen, climbs the carved wood, finds the rafters, spills into the night beyond. It is floral and warm, a memory of fields none of the guests have time to visit. Conversations falter. Judgments harden in some hearts and soften in others. The host, Simon, looks between Jesus and the woman and measures the scene with a scale he has long trusted. If this man were a prophet, he thinks, he would know. Jesus knows. He knows the math Simon keeps and the ledger the woman drags behind her. He lets the scent do its work, the way grace often arrives before an explanation, then offers a story that fits inside a handful of sentences. Two debtors, one with a sum that could drown a life, one with a debt that could still pinch severely, both forgiven by the same generous hand. Which will love more? He asks. Simon answers as a careful student would, the one forgiven more. You have judged rightly, Jesus says. And then he turns toward the woman while speaking to the man, a posture that holds both truth and tenderness. He points not to scandal, but to hospitality. A host's water for dusty feet, absent. A kiss of welcome, missing. Oil to ease the travel-weary brow, forgotten. But she has given what the room withheld. Her tears were water, her hair a cloth, her perfume oil for his feet. Where courtesy paused, love ran. Where rules stiffened, mercy bent. The ledger that once accused her now witnesses to a different accounting. Her many sins are forgiven, he says, for she loved much. The words are a door opening inward. The room hears only the hinge. Then, to the woman, a sentence with the weight to change sleep. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Not go in performance, not go in explanation. Go in peace, as if peace were a cloak placed around her shoulders, as if the night air itself had been warmed for her passage. She does not look at the others to gather permissions. She has received a better one. She rises, movements unhurried, face unguarded, and the fragrance marks her steps like a blessing you cannot shake. If you have been carrying the weight of other people's retellings of your life, pause here and breathe. This chapter does not ask you to defend yourself. It invites you to come near with what you have and who you are. Tears you have not allowed may fall now. They will not drown you. They will rinse. Hair you once wore as armor can become kindness. What you have saved for the right moment may have found it tonight. A costly mercy poured out where love has rested its feet. Notice how Jesus receives. He does not pull away, does not protect his reputation from her devotion, does not shrink the scene to spare the room embarrassment. He lets love be as large as it is, because only large love can unlearn large shame. And notice how he speaks to Simon without scorn. He does not burn bridges. He lights lamps. He teaches a man who prides himself on exactness to love the approximate measure of grace, which is always more than we expect, and always enough. There is a lull in the room. The quiet after a story breaks and remakes a heart. Bread tastes different. Honey is sweeter. The servants move with faces that have learned something about dignity. Some guests sit with arms crossed, repairing their inner scaffolding. Others uncross their arms and let them fall gently to their sides. Because it is tiring to hold yourself together when a better kindness can hold you. The scent lingers, proof that love has substance and staying power. Carry a small phrase to your pillow. Go in peace. Imagine it written on the doorframe of your room, the way an old blessing might be hidden at the edge of a house. When you cross the threshold to sleep, pass under it like the safest archway. Let it be a soft verdict over the long day. Not try harder, not explain more, but go in peace. If your mind reaches for the ledger, remind it that forgiveness changes the numbers, and then changes the need to count at all. And if you cannot forget the courtyard glances, the measuring looks that have followed you in other rooms, let the fragrance answer them. You are not the sum of those looks. You are the scent that remains when love has touched what was dusty. You are the guest who washed the feet the house forgot. You are the person who stepped across a line to kneel where mercy could be found. The night deepens. Lamps lower their small moons. The courtyard cools. Somewhere outside the wall, a dog turns twice and lies down. Inside, the woman's steps move toward a street that has known her shame and will now know her peace. Jesus remains at table, unhurried, at ease. He has turned a lesson into a lullaby, a scandal into comfort, a ledger into a benediction. Breathe now, as though a flask has been broken and its sweetness belongs to you. 4 counts in, let memory of kindness fill your chest. 2 counts held, let the truth settle. 6 counts out, release the names you carry like stones. If tears come, they are part of the washing. If calm comes, it is part of the anointing. Either way, the blessing stands, and will stand through the night. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Twilight comes early in Galilee on certain days, slipping down the hills like a shawl drawn over quiet shoulders. The fields keep a last faint shimmer, and the paths home hold small conversations. The clink of a hoe, a child's soft question, the patient reply of a parent whose words know the speed of evening. Jesus stands at the edge of such a field with a handful of listeners. He does not offer arguments to win. He offers small stories to keep. Seeds, really, meant for pockets and pillows, for kitchens and crossroads, for the long journey toward rest. Listen, he says, and listening is already a kind of peace. A sower goes out to sow. No flourish, no drumbeat, just a practiced arm and a bag at the hip. The old rhythm of cast and step. Cast and step. The seed is generous. It finds 4 kinds of ground without picking favorites. The hard-packed path where feet have made certainty. The shallow soil that smiles at sun and hides its stone. The thorny patch that looks friendly until it is time to share. And the good earth that receives without argument. He does not scold the first 3. He does not say the sower was foolish. He lets the field be a mirror and a mercy. You can hear the gentle invitation. Notice where your heart has become a road, where words land and bounce because travel has compacted you. Notice the places that flare with sudden joy, then fade because stone sits close under thin softness. Notice the thickets, a calendar crowded with urgent weeds, a mind tangled with what-ifs, a worry that wraps itself around everything new. And notice too the loam, the deep places that keep their moisture, the steady patience that does not make a show, and therefore lasts. He speaks of yield in a voice without hurry, 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold, numbers that would make any farmer's eyebrows rise. He does not press them on you. He places them near you, like a warm loaf left on the windowsill. The point is not to boast about harvests. The point is to bless the patience that grows them. If you have been measuring your life by quick sprouts and quick discouragements, this is a story to sleep on. Seeds work while you rest. Roots do their quiet engineering in the dark. Trust is not laziness. It is cooperation with a process that exceeds your management. Breathe here, slow and kind. In for 4, pause for 2, out for 6. As the air leaves, let it carry one tight idea that you must feel growth for growth to be real. Feelings are good guests. They are not the landlords of truth. Beneath the topsoil of your day, something faithful is happening. You can rest without checking. Another story follows, small enough to ride in your palm. A lamp is made for a stand, not a hiding place. It is not a performance, this light. It is a kindness. It spills into corners without instruction. Over a broom in the corner, a bowl on the table, a sleeping child's cheek, the busy hands that wash and set and fold. Jesus says that nothing meant to be seen will stay hidden forever. And that is not a threat. It is a promise that goodness will have its turn in the open. If you have kept a gentle practice tucked away, your quiet generosity, your unseen forgiveness, do not fear that it was wasted. Lamps do what lamps do when you stop worrying about whether anyone approves. They shine. He adds a measure. The measure you use will be measured to you, and more besides. Not as a bargain, but as a training. If you measure the world with suspicion, your cup becomes narrow. If you measure with mercy, your cup learns to widen. Mercy is not naive, it is spacious. You can carry it to bed and let it shape your dreams. Then the smallest seed enters the conversation, not as trivia, but as a parable about patient surprise. The mustard seed looks like almost nothing on your palm. A speck, a dot, a thing that could be blown away by one careless breath. And yet placed into earth, the same ordinary earth you sweep from your doorstep. It keeps a secret. It knows how to become larger than anyone expects. The plant grows, and the birds, small hearts with fast beats, find shade in its branches. This is not a story about spectacle. It is a story about shelter. God likes to give shade from small beginnings. If your mind is busy with self-critique, let the mustard seed answer it. You do not need to be impressive to be useful. You do not need to be loud to be kind. You can be the small start of a rest someone else will enjoy. Tonight, let that be enough. The disciples once asked about the meanings, and Jesus, patient teacher, explained, not to elites, but to friends learning how to hear. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear, is one of the few lines we keep tonight. It is not a puzzle. It is a blessing. Your ears are part of your heart. Hearing happens better when your shoulders are low, your jaw unclenched, your breath unhurried. Bedtime is a very good time for ears. He says, too, that the kingdom is like a man who scatters seed and then sleeps and rises, night and day. And the seed sprouts and grows. He knows not how. Those 4 words are a lullaby for the task-driven. You know not how. And it is fine. There is a grace that works without your supervision. There is a dawn that will arrive without your planning. Turn your face toward the window and rest in that. Consider the soils again, now with gentleness. Where are you a path? Perhaps a headline walked you flat. Perhaps a disappointment pressed the same track over and over until the ground became hard. You do not need to fix it tonight. You can pray a soft farmer's prayer. Send rain. Send patient feet that are not hurried feet. Send time. Where are you shallow? Not because you are frivolous, but because stone has sat under your softness for a long time. You can ask for a small chisel of hope. Where are their thorns? Name them without shame. Obligations, too many for one person. Scrolling that steals focus. The quiet addiction to troubleshooting every future at once. You can select a single thorn to cut gently tomorrow. Tonight, you can rest among uncut ones without letting them name you. Where is the good earth? Don't miss it. Name where you are steady, where you keep showing up, where you apologize with ease, where you say thank you without theater. Good earth loves to be noticed. Now the lamp again. If a small courage has lit in you, an apology you plan to make, a boundary you will set kindly, a call you will return. Set it on a stand in your imagination, not a stage, a stand. Picture the warm circle of its reach. The room is the same, and not the same. Fear sees itself in the mirror and chooses a seat. Peace takes the other chair. The lamp burns without scolding the dark. It simply makes seeing possible. And the mustard seed. Tuck one in the pocket of your breath. In for 4, pause, out for 6. See it resting in the loam of your chest, not demanding, simply certain. Tomorrow, it will be a fraction larger. Birds will not arrive right away. That is fine. The branch will grow while you sleep. If you need a single line to fold into your pillowcase, choose this. Hidden growth, unhurried light. Growth you cannot measure moment by moment. Light that does not demand applause. These are the ways the kingdom keeps company with the tired. These are the ways rest arrives without trumpets. The field grows darker now. Fireflies appear like wandering punctuation marks. The listeners turn homeward along narrow paths that know their feet. Someone hums a tune about lamps and stands. Someone fingers a seed and thinks of birds. Someone touches the hard edge of a stone and asks quietly for rain. Jesus lingers a moment at the field's edge, pleased with small things doing large work. Let your room become such a field. Let your bed be the good earth. Lay down your worries like a handful of seed and refuse to dig them up to check. Put a little lamp on the shelf of your attention, a sentence from tonight, a remembered kindness, and let it glow without guard duty from you. Keep a mustered confidence that shade is coming. Close your eyes. Feel the deep, quiet engineering under your ribs. You are being grown while you rest. You are being lit without effort. Hidden growth. Unhurried light. Sleep in their care. Morning in Capernaum opens like a careful hand parting a curtain. The streets are the soft gray of first light. Shopkeepers lift their shutters. The smell of fresh bread steps out of doorways and walks the lane. A synagogue leader named Jairus moves with purpose through this beginning day, and the crowd parts as people recognize the anxious dignity of a father doing what love demands. His daughter is 12, an age where laughter leaps easily and sleep smells like sunshine. But today her breath is thin, and the house feels like a cup about to spill. Jairus has measured remedies and found them small. He goes to find Jesus. When he reaches him, dignity bows to need. He falls at Jesus' feet, words tumbling in the grammar of urgency. Come, please, my little girl. The request is not elegant, only honest. Jesus rises at once, as if he had been waiting for this exact sentence, and they turn toward Jairus' house. The road fills behind them. Curious neighbors, hopeful strangers, children half walking, half skip, like a river learning a new course. In the press of bodies is another story, quieter and older. A woman has been bleeding for 12 years, the same number as the girls living, and the math of her days has been subtraction, strength diminishing, money spent, friendships thinning under the weight of whispered rules and weary explanations. Doctors have tried and failed, with a kindness that still hurt. She has learned to walk the edges of crowds, because edges are safer than centers when you're tired of being noticed for the wrong reason. She has heard of Jesus, not as rumor only, but as a possibility that reaches through the fence of her experience and says, there is more. She does not imagine an audience with him. She imagines contact, small, quiet, enough. The fringe of his cloak will do. She thinks the thought the way one fingers the seam of a garment, tentative, then firm. If I touch, I will be well. The sentence is short enough to ride a breath. The road narrows near a doorway, and the crowd presses close. Jairus keeps pace beside Jesus, counting steps like heartbeats. The woman moves in the current of bodies until the cloak passes within reach. Her hand is quick and gentle, a sparrow's touch. There is no sound, only a sudden ease, the way pain sometimes loosens, as if a knot has finally found the end of its own thread. Jesus stops. The road's hum quiets by degrees. He turns and asks a simple question that carries to the far edges. Who touched me? It sounds strange in a crush of people, like asking which drop of rain wet your shoulder. But he is not collecting data. He is inviting a story to be told in daylight, with kindness. Peter murmurs about the crowd, practical and protective. Jesus shakes his head with a small smile and says that power has gone out from him, the way warmth goes out from a hand that steadies a child. The woman could slip away, healed and hidden, but healing and hiding do not always belong in the same sentence. Trembling, she steps forward. The crowd breathes in. She tells the truth, whole, the years, the failures, the loneliness, the decision, the touch, the sudden river of relief moving through her. Truth does what truth does. It makes a room wide enough to include this kind of courage. Jesus calls her daughter, a name that returns belonging with one word, and says the line we keep small and close tonight. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Peace wears her name like a shawl now. She is not a problem to manage. She is a person to bless. Even as relief settles around her like warm sun, another voice arrives from the edge, breaking the scene's gentleness. A messenger from Jairus' house. The face carries bad news. The sentence is blunt, to spare the knife of hope. Your daughter has died. It lands heavy. Jairus staggers, as if the road suddenly tilted. The crowd shifts into the hush people make when sorrow steps onto the path. Before grief can close the door, Jesus speaks to Jairus with the calm of a hand laid on a shaking shoulder. Do not fear, only believe, he says. Few words, enough for a breath. He does not deny the report. He offers a way to stand inside it. The group thins. Only a few go on with him, because some walks are better with fewer feet, the way some prayers are better whispered. At the house, lament is already working. Flutes keening, voices rising, neighbors doing the ancient labor of grieving. Jesus steps into that weather and says the girl is not gone the way they think. She sleeps. They laugh, not with cruelty, but with the defensiveness of people who cannot afford more disappointment. He reshapes the room, sends noise outside, brings only the parents and the few into the quiet. The bed is small, the child is still. The air has the cleanliness of a place where love has been crying. He takes her hand. The gesture is ordinary and holy. A father does this when waking a daughter from a nap. A mother does this when a nightmare tucks itself inside a child's chest. He speaks two small words in the house's language. Talitha cum. Little girl, arise. A command that sounds like a lullaby. Breath returns. Color rises like dawn through her cheeks. She sits up with the unself-consciousness of children. She stands, the floor welcoming her feet the way water welcomes a boat's hull. Her parents' faces fold and unfold, disbelief and joy until they cannot tell one from the other. Give her something to eat, Jesus says, and it is the most practical mercy. Life requires small care as much as large miracles. Bread slices, a cup, a nap, a fresh blanket. He asks them to keep the news quiet for now, perhaps to let tenderness have a few unbothered hours, perhaps to protect the girl from becoming a spectacle. Not every gift is for the marketplace. Some are for the table. Sit with the 212s. 12 years of bleeding becomes relief in a moment. 12 years of growing becomes a pause, and then continuation. One woman is called daughter in the crowd. One girl is treated as daughter at home. Both are restored to belonging. One to community, one to family. In both scenes, fear tries to run ahead, but faith, small, hand-sized, fringe light, keeps pace. If you are waiting for relief, let the woman teach you a prayer you can carry in your palm. If I touch, I will be well. Touch may be a breath, a whispered name, a scripture small as a seed, a quiet minute with your hand on your own heart. If you are afraid for someone you love, let Jairus teach you how to walk, step by step beside a presence who does not hurry and does not delay. When the message arrives that feels like an ending, borrow the sentence given to him. Do not fear, only believe. Belief is not noise. It is staying in the room where love holds the hand of what seems lost. Breathe now with a gentle pattern. In for 4, say, within, daughter. Hold for 2, say, within, arise. Out for 6, say, within, peace. Imagine the fringe of a cloak brushing your fingertips, the weight of a child's hand in yours, the quiet voice that does not shout to be obeyed. Imagine a kitchen where someone cuts bread and a small voice says, "I'm hungry," and the room laughs because hunger is the most ordinary proof of life. As night gathers, picture 2 doorways. One where a woman leaves the crowd with her shoulders lower and her spine straight. One where a girl steps into a courtyard, blinking at the light and asking the day to begin again. Your room is between those doorways. Let your bed be the place where fear slows its feet and faith sets down a plate. You do not need to stage anything for God. You need only to breathe where you are and let the hand that steadies daughters and sons steady you. Lie back. The floor of the world is steadier than your worry imagines. The one who stopped for a hidden touch and kept walking toward a hidden house is not tired of you. Touch. Arise. Peace. 3 small words to hold under your pillow. Sleep now. In the morning, there will be bread. Late afternoon leans over a green slope beside the lake, and the light turns the grass into a soft carpet. People are scattered across the hill the way shells rest on a quiet shore. Families, elders, children with dust on their knees, travelers who meant to stay a morning and stayed through lunch without knowing it. They have followed the current of a voice that made their hearts less tight. Now the day is far spent. Hunger has a small ache to it, and the practical minds in the group begin counting. Counting turns quickly into worry when the numbers are fish and bread, and the crowd is all of us. The disciples find Jesus and speak in the useful tone of logistics. The nearest towns are not near enough for this need. The hillside is beautiful and unprepared. The suggestion is sensible. Send them away. Let them find bread where bread lives. Jesus answers with a sentence that sounds impossible and kind at the same time. You give them something to eat. It lands like a pebble in a lake, rings widening. The disciples looking at one another the way friends do when a request is larger than their pockets. There is, as it turns out, a small meal already here. 5 loaves and 2 fish. The sort of thing a boy would carry from home in a simple basket. The bread is barley, everyday bread. The fish are small, the kind you can hold in the curve of a hand. The offering is not a strategy. It is honesty. This is what we have. Someone brings it forward without speech-making, and the boy's eyes show both shyness and a strange relief that comes when you are asked to share and find that you can. Jesus does not sigh. He does not ask for more dramatic materials. He asks the crowd to sit down. Simple order for a generous moment. People arrange themselves in groups on the grass, clusters of 10 or 20, knees crossing, shawls spread, children wobbling to a seat. It looks like 1,000 little tables without legs. The hillside settles, with the sound of people expecting something and willing to be patient. He takes the bread into his hands and lifts his face. The prayer is quiet and grateful, and though we do not hear the words, we feel the shape of them. Thank you for enough. Thank you for what is here. Thank you that hunger can meet kindness. He breaks the bread. The sound is not loud, but it is steady, the rhythm of provision beginning. Pieces are placed in hands that place them in other hands. Fish are divided and passed in the same way. What leaves one hand arrives in another, becomes a bite, becomes strength. The miracle does not shout. It repeats. Breaking, giving, receiving. The baskets come and go, their emptiness refilled as if the lake itself had remembered an old promise. Where there was counting, there is now passing. Where there was clutching, there is now open palm. Children chew with the concentration that children give to happiness. Elders eat with a relief that shows in their shoulders. Those who have spent the day standing at the edges move nearer, invited by the simple fact of food moving toward them. No ticket, no titles, only space made for appetite. Notice how the hillside becomes a classroom for rest. Sitting in small circles makes strangers into neighbors and neighbors into companions who share a loaf with an easy nod. The act of receiving does something to the brow. It smooths it. The act of sharing does something to the chest. It loosens it. Worry is a poor dinner guest. Gratitude seats it at the far end of the field and gives it nothing to argue about. As the baskets move, the disciples discover they are servers at a banquet the budget could not predict. Their hands learn a new arithmetic, one that multiplies in the giving, not in the hoarding. The eyes that calculated the shortfall now learn to look for who is not yet received. This is a kind of prayer too, attention offered to the needs nearby, not in grand speeches, but in the motion of bread from hand to hand. When appetites have calmed and conversation softens into laughter, Jesus gives another practical instruction, the kind that honors the ordinary. Gather the fragments. Not because heaven is stingy, but because love wastes nothing. The disciples walk the hill with baskets and find the remainder surprising. 12 baskets filled with what did not get eaten. 12, like a quiet echo of tribes and months, and the completeness the heart longs for. Leftovers are not an afterthought. They are a testimony. Think of the boy watching pieces of his small lunch become a meal for a hillside. He will sleep differently tonight. He has learned that what leaves his hands can return as joy he did not have to control. Think of the mother who packed the bread that morning, perhaps with a quick blessing, not knowing it would become the shape of a story told in whisper voices for years. Think of the people who arrived with empty hands and left with full stomachs and a new idea of what is possible. That scarcity is not the final word when gratitude is the first one. If you are listening with a mind that has spent a day doing math that doesn't comfort you, let the hillside lend you another way. Instead of counting what is missing, count what is shared. Instead of measuring your strength by what you store, measure it by what you pass along. Encouragement, a timely text, a quiet task done without being asked. The kingdom's economics are not reckless, they are relational. Enough expands when it is given away. For sleep tonight, try a gentler arithmetic. Imagine the loaves in your life, the simple barley kind gifts you actually have. A steady breath, a friend's name, a room to rest in, a memory of being loved. Imagine placing them in willing hands. Imagine the breaking that does not destroy, but distributes. Imagine baskets returning again and again with enough for you and those near you. You do not have to see how the filling happens. You are allowed to participate and then lie down. Breathe with a new cadence now, not numbers, but words. Inhale, enough. Exhale, thank you. Again, inhale, enough. Exhale, thank you. Let the words find a place to sit in your chest, as people found places on the grass. Let them steady your pulse, the way a warm meal steadies a tired body. When the light thins and coolness arrives from the lake, the crowd stands in little waves, brushing crumbs from robes, tying sandals, lifting children. There is no stampede. There is the unhurried dispersal of people whose needs have been met without humiliation. The field remains, quiet again, but marked by something more than footprints, a memory of abundance that arrived through smallness and sharing. The disciples stack the baskets, their palms smelling of bread and brine. They are learning that the work of love is both holy and practical. Ask people to sit, hand them food, pick up the pieces. Remember the lesson. Jesus looks over the slope with satisfaction that is not possessive. He did not open a market here. He hosted a meal and taught the soul how to rest while the body is fed. Carry one short line to your pillow. Gather the fragments. Let it bless your evening routines, closing a window, folding a shirt, jotting a note you will need tomorrow. Fragments gathered become provision for another day. Gratitude gathered becomes a pillow for tonight. You are not asked to feed the world from your pantry. You are asked to bring what you have, to sit down, to receive, to share, and to rest in the mystery that multiplies where trust and thanksgiving meet. Lie back now. The grass is soft in memory. Your bed can be soft in truth. Your hunger has a companion. Your worry has a seat at the edge of the field where it cannot ruin the meal. Enough is near. Thank you is near. Close your eyes and let the hillside teach you how to sleep. Dawn gathers itself into a clear, high sky, the kind that makes distances feel honest and close at the same time. Jesus invites 3 friends, Peter, James, and John, to walk with him up a mountain path. Stones shift under sandals. Scrub plants release a clean, resinous scent when brushed. The wind writes small notes along the ridge and tucks them into their sleeves. They go not to escape the world, but to see it truly, as if the height might give their hearts the horizon they keep misplacing. They climb in the steady way people climb who have learned not to race their own breath. Conversation thins to silence. Silence blooms into prayer. Jesus goes a little ahead, not out of reach, only just beyond the last familiar thought. The mountain is neither a stage nor a fortress. It is a place large enough to hold wonder without spilling. Then it happens, sudden as lightning, gentle as sunrise. His face shines the way faces shine when joy and truth meet. His clothing becomes bright with a clarity that belongs to daylight, but surpasses it. The whiteness of clean linen hung in pure air, the brightness of a thought God has always been thinking, now written where eyes can read it. Glory is not a glare here. It is a presence, a nearness. The disciples do not shield their eyes so much as widen them, as if to make more room for seeing. 2 figures are present with him, Moses and Elijah, names their childhoods had taught them to love. Law and prophecy, the long road and the long song, now speaking with the one who stands at the center as fulfillment and friend. They discuss a departure, Luke will say, a Passover to be accomplished in Jerusalem, how love will walk into suffering and lead captives out. It is the kind of conversation mountains were made to overhear. Peter does what earnest hearts do when beauty is larger than plans. He proposes a way to hold it. "Let us make 3 tents," he blurts, "dwellings, little shelters, a sincere attempt to keep the unkeepable." He is not wrong to love the moment. He is simply human in the presence of what cannot be managed. Wonder is a guest that prefers open windows to nailed doors. A cloud arrives with the softness of a breath and the depth of a sea. It is not the grey you remember from storms that stole your light. It is the luminous kind, the way mist glows when the morning stands behind it. They enter the brightness and are afraid the way you might fear when joy asks to be trusted. From the cloud, a voice comes, a line we keep small and sure tonight. "This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him." No arguments, no footnotes. A relationship named, an invitation given. Listen to him. The sentence is not a scold. It is a simplifier. It gathers scattered anxieties and puts them in one place. Follow the voice that sounds like mercy when it speaks truth, and truth when it offers mercy. If you have been straining to hear 100 things, let those 4 words be a pillow under your thoughts. Listen to him. Let the rest be air that passes through trees. The brightness eases. The conversation closes like a book with a hand still resting on its cover. Jesus is there as they have always known him. Dust on his feet, breath soft with exertion, eyes kind. Awe does its good work in the disciples. It quiets instead of inflating. They do not run down the mountain shouting. They carry the moment like a warm stone in a pocket, to be felt in the hand when the path turns steep again. Wonder, when it is healthy, steadies rather than spins. It does not erase the valleys waiting below. It teaches you how to walk them without forgetting the sky. The mountain remains in the legs as strength, in the lungs as ease, in the eyes as a habit of looking beyond the next worry to the larger kindness that holds all roads. If your mind has been busy tonight with unsolvable puzzles, let transfiguration become your practice of pause. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. With each breath in, imagine that luminous cloud, not to hide you from the world, but to bathe your questions in gentleness. With each breath out, release the need to pitch a tent over every holy thing. You do not have to catch the light. You can let it rest where it chooses and carry its warmth down to ordinary tasks. Consider the 3 shelters Peter suggested, how we also try to house what dazzles us. A schedule airtight enough to prevent surprise, a system strong enough to control outcomes, a story neat enough to avoid grief. The voice from the cloud asks for something simpler and braver, not tense, but listening. Listen at the sink. Listen on the bus. Listen while sending the email, while folding the towel, while counting the medicine, while turning off the lamp. The mountain is a way to live, not a place to escape to forever. And notice that glory finds Jesus while he prays, not because prayer powers a miracle like a generator, but because prayer positions a life to reflect what consistently shines. You are allowed to pray like breathing, quietly, constantly, without production. Here I am is a complete sentence. Help me listen is another. Prayer is not a performance review. It is a presence practice. As they descend, stones scuff underfoot. The sun warms their shoulders. The world looks both the same and more itself. Down below, someone will need healing. A crowd will have opinions. Plans will be made and unmade. The mountain does not spare them these things. It supplies them with a steadier center for meeting them. If you wake in the night to the old knot of worry, remember this. The brightness was real, and the voice was kind, and the man who shone like morning now walks beside you in dust. Carry a small, sturdy phrase to your pillow. Listen to him. When fear urges more drastic sentences, fix it now figure it out alone, seal every door. Answer with listening. Listening lowers the shoulders. It slows the hands. It welcomes the next small instruction. Call. Apologize. Rest. Wait. Try again. Bless. Eat. Sleep. The God who glowed on the mountain likes verbs that help humans be human. If you need an image to soothe your breathing, picture linen bright in clean air, not for display, but for use. Picture a cloud cradling 3 tired men without scolding their fear. Picture a teacher who looks like sunrise and then looks like your friend. So you will know both are true. Let awe and familiarity hold hands. They are not enemies. Awe keeps love from becoming casual. Familiarity keeps love from becoming distant. Together, they make trust that can sleep. Now, ease your jaw and let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. Feel the mattress like the mountain under your back. Firm, kind, enough. In the quiet, let a prayer be as brief as the voice on the height. Chosen one, I'm listening. No theatrics, just consent. If drowsiness comes, let it. If tears come, let them wash the dust of the climb from your face. If only quiet comes, that is a cloud of its own, and it is welcome. When morning returns, it will ask nothing dramatic of you. You will pour water, open a curtain, make a list, answer a message. Do these things with a bit of mountain in your manner. Speak gently. Walk unhurried. Refuse to camp on peaks. Carry their light. And if the day darkens, let memory answer darkness. There is a voice I know, and it is near. Listen to him. Sleep in that sentence. The brightness does not leave. It lingers in the room that is your life. A steadying glow on ordinary walls. Close your eyes. The cloud is kind. The path is enough. The chosen one watches and keeps. Twilight lays a soft ribbon over the fields as a young man reaches the last bend in the road. Dust clings to his ankles. Hunger has carved hollows under his cheekbones. Behind him, far countries blur into one memory. Coin that ran like water. Laughter that thinned to a whistle. Friends who evaporated when the wine did. In front of him, the road slopes toward home, the place he rehearses in his mind and doubts in his bones. He has a speech folded inside his chest like a crumpled letter. I chose badly. I broke trust. I am no longer worthy. He plans to trade sonship for wages, love for tolerance, a room for a corner. Shame is practical like that, always willing to bargain down what the heart was made for. Back at the house, a father keeps a habit the neighbors find impractical. He watches the horizon the way sailors watch weather. He walks the lane more often than errands require. He keeps a cloak by the door in case a welcome needs to be warm. Some mornings the hope feels foolish. Some evenings it feels like prayer. He has not balanced any ledger except love's. My son was here. He left. May he return. On this evening, the horizon answers. A shape approaches that is both familiar and torn. The father does not analyze gait or distance. He runs. Older legs that usually conserve dignity spend it gladly. Sandals slap. Heart outraces breath. Arms open before words arrive. The boy begins his speech, voice thin with rehearsed regret. The father wraps the speech in his own. Robe over shoulders, ring on finger, sandals under feet. And the sentences change direction. We will keep one line small but bright. He was lost and is found. For now there is only holding, dust on fabric, tears in beards, forgiveness arriving before apology is finished. Servants move, surprised into joy. A calf is chosen, not because meat proves love, but because celebration needs broth and bread and something that smells like welcome from the road. Water is drawn. Basins are set. A robe with clean shoulders finds new shoulders. The young man bathes like someone returning from a long illness, slowly, carefully, learning again the shape of his own hands. In a corner, he touches the family ring. It is not a medal. It is an invitation. Step back into belonging. As music begins to test the evening, another figure appears at the edge of the field. The elder brother. Posture straight from years of practice. He hears rhythm before reason and asks a passing servant what it means. The answer is simple and offensive to the math he keeps. Your brother has come. Your father is celebrating. Offense blooms where fatigue had curled. He stands outside the door, a man faithful to duty and far from joy. The father notices absence the way he noticed return. He goes out again. He listens. The elder's words are tidy and tired. All these years I have served you. No feast for me. This son of yours who squandered comes home to music. Wounds speak the language of account books when they are not given gentler words. The father answers with a grammar of relationship. Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. He refuses to pit love against love. He names the reason for music plainly. A dead thing is alive. A lost life is breathing again. If the house is large enough for sorrow and relief, it is large enough for gratitude and fairness, to learn how to talk. Come inside, the sentence implies. Not excuse your brother, but choose the celebration that teaches your heart what it forgot. How to be glad without keeping score. The story Jesus tells leaves the older brother's decision unwritten, because many of us are writing it tonight. Some stand with arms crossed at thresholds mercy has opened. Some step in with a hesitation that becomes dancing by the second song. Either way, the Father keeps the doorway wide. If you have ever run out of yourself and wondered whether home could bear the weight of your return, carry this. The Father ran first. If you have ever kept the rules and found your soul thin, carry this. the Father came out to you as well. The love in this house is not a pie sliced to the last crumb. It is an oven that warms more loaves when needed. No one must eat less because someone starving has come to eat again. Consider how the younger son's shame wanted to write his job description. "Make me your hired man," he planned to say. Shame likes to replace belonging with probation. But the Father refuses a contract where a covenant stands. He restores rather than downgrades. Robe, ring, sandals. Clothing, authority, path. Not because the past did not wound, but because the future should not be chained to it. Forgiveness does not pretend. It creates. It does not erase memory. It gives memory a different ending. Now think of the elder brother. Steady, competent, building fences within while building fences without. He has lived beside love and learned its tasks, but not always its song. His work is good. His heart is tired. The Father's invitation is not to stop being faithful. It is to be faithful and free. Duty without delight becomes a door locked from the inside. Delight without duty becomes a window with no house. The Father offers both. A home where music supports labor, and labor makes music possible. The feast warms. Torches sputter kindly against the dark. The younger brother eats the way the hungry do at first, carefully, then with laughter that surprises even him. Neighbors who promised themselves they would not judge are judged by their own tears and give up. Someone brings a drum. Someone brings figs. The Father moves through the room with a hand on every shoulder he can reach, blessing the simple fact of bodies present. He does not rewrite history tonight. He writes welcome over it. If you are listening with regret, seated beside your bed like a stern accountant, listen harder for the door latch lifting. The God Jesus shows us runs down roads, kisses dusty faces, calls for music, and steps out to find the faithful who feel forgotten. 2 small lines are enough to keep near your pillow. He ran for the wanderer. Come in for the resentful. Between them, a house large enough for many returns. Breathe now in a slow pattern as if you are crossing a threshold. In for 4, home. Hold for 2, belong. Out for 6, rest. Again, home, belong, rest. Let your body believe what your mind argues with, that you are not earning a mattress tonight. You are receiving a place at a table already set. If you are the younger one, you can put down the script that downgrades you. You will not be interviewed tonight. You will be embraced. If you are the older one, you can loosen your arms and practice one small smile. You will not be ignored. You are already in the will. If you are the parent heart, still scanning the horizon, know that your watching is not wasted. Love's running legs are ready. Mercy's sandals are by the door. The music grows comfortable, then quiet. Lamps are trimmed. Someone collects plates. Someone laughs softly at a joke not very good, but told by someone very loved. The robe hangs from a peg. The ring rests against a chest that rises and falls in ordinary sleep. Outside, the night keeps gentle watch over a house where both sons are wanted, and both are asked to become more than the worst impulse of their story. Inside, the father dreams the same dream he has held for years. All under one roof, all at one table, all learning how joy and honesty share bread. Carry one phrase as you lower into rest: found and home. Not home as perfection, home as belonging that survives failure and refuses rivalry. Not found as solved, found as seen, held, and fed. You are not the ledger tonight. You are the guest. Let celebration be your lullaby. Let acceptance be your blanket. Sleep as if a ring is warming your finger, and a cloak is over your shoulders, and a voice, steady, smiling, has just said your name without a hint of comparison or regret. Evening settles over the road descending from Jerusalem, long and bending over stone. Heat leaves the rocks, shadows soften. People avoid this road alone, the way you avoid thoughts with too many ambushes. A traveler walks with cloak pulled tight, mind on home, prayer small and practical. Let me arrive. It happens quickly. Shapes rise from the edges. Hands are not kind. A shove, the ripping, the taking, the leaving. Dust lifts where his body lands. The road resumes its silence as if nothing has happened, except that a person now breathes in shallow sips and the sky feels too large. Time stretches. Then footsteps. A priest approaches, robe catching the low light. He sees, calculates, and keeps to the cleaner side. Perhaps he is late, perhaps cautious, perhaps exhausted. He passes. The road holds its breath, and then exhales the same way it did before. More footsteps. A Levite now, the sort who knows the right words and ways. He also sees. He also judges the distance. He also moves along. In these refusals there is no triumph, only a quiet sadness. How easily we miss our own lives by needing them to stay tidy. The traveler's sight narrows to a keyhole. Then another figure appears, one the road recognizes as an outsider named with the wrong tone. Samaritan. He does not make a sermon in his head. He makes a stop. Knees in dust, hands steady, voice low. Not asking how it came to this, not interviewing the pain, only staying near. He pours oil where skin is torn, wine where infection would like to begin. He offers water. He tears cloth from his pack and binds what he can. He lifts carefully. The animal shifts. Space is made. They move at the speed of injury, slower than schedules prefer, and exactly how kindness travels. The inn door creaks. Lamplight lays a square of welcome on the floor. The innkeeper squints. Trouble costs money. But the Samaritan's calm says, "This is not trouble. This is neighbor." Coins clink on wood. A bed rustles. A wounded man sleeps the heavy sleep of the newly safe. In the quiet, the story asks its question, not about labels, but nearness. The answer rests easily. The neighbor is the one who showed mercy. Two short lines we keep tonight hold the whole path. Do this and you will live. Go and do likewise. They are not commands meant to make you frantic. They are invitations to find your own heart again by letting it be useful without applause. Notice the Samaritan's pace. He does not sprint. He does not perform. He attends. He lifts. He pays. He promises to return. Mercy is not spectacle. It is stewardship. It finishes what it begins. Sleep often will not come because our minds are busy with the world we cannot fix. This story offers something smaller and larger, an address, not a map. The address is the next wound within reach. The map, if there is one, appears as you walk. Perhaps tonight you are the one by the road, stripped by a day that took without asking. Or perhaps you are the passerby who avoided what felt complicated, and now regret keeps you awake. Or perhaps you are the Samaritan, tired from stopping so often. Wherever you are in the story, mercy can find you there. If you are on the ground, receive. If you passed by, turn back in your heart and let tomorrow be different. If you are tired, let the inn keep watch while you rest. Breathe with the road's evening rhythm. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. With each exhale, lay down the judgments that keep your feet from crossing over. Say quietly, cross. Cross the distance between you and the hurt safe for you to tend. Sometimes crossing is an act of body, sometimes an act of attention, an honest message, a small meal left on a step, a listening offered without fixing. Feel the details that make care real. The coolness of oil on hot skin, the clean sting of wine, the weight shared between shoulder and saddle, the scratch of straw freshly turned, the small bread at bedside, the note for the innkeeper promising, "I will check again." Let these surround your breathing like a slow hymn. Perfection is not present. Presence is. That is enough for courage to return. The priest and Levite are not villains. They are warnings. We can love ideas of holiness and miss the holiness lying at the edge of our path. You do not need to scold yourself to learn from them. Look longer the next time a need appears and ask, what is one step within my power and peace? Kindness is a practice as much as a decision. When Jesus finishes the story, he hands it like a lantern to anyone asking how to inherit life. Not only later, but now. Life returns when we engage the world as it is given to us, one wounded neighbor at a time. You may not change policies or rewrite histories tonight. You can be an innkeeper to your own body. Change the sheet of your thoughts. Dim the lamp of your worry. Bandage what is raw with gentleness, and promise to revisit the places that still ache. Hold a phrase on your tongue as sleep approaches. Near enough to help. If a situation is not near, bless those who are nearer. If it is near, cross with what you have. A word, a gift, a ride, a rest. Go and do likewise is not a burden. It is a path out of the small prison of self. Now, let the road grow quiet. Dust settles. Stars appear. Somewhere an inn door is latched and a lamp turned low. Somewhere a traveler wakes and, for the first time in a long while, does not brace. Somewhere you pull the blanket higher and let your ribs widen with a good breath. Mercy has crossed a distance to reach you too. Through story and the kindness of one who did not pass by our pain, but came close, lifted, carried, and made a room. Close your eyes. If you need a prayer, let it be brief. Make me near. If you need a promise, let it be gentle. I will cross. The night will hold these like coins on wood. And when sleep comes, it will feel like being placed on a bed you did not pay for, in a room kept for you, with someone trustworthy keeping watch until morning. Morning gathers like honey over Jericho, warm and golden along the road that threads the palms. The town hums with trade, coins clicking, animals snorting, voices meeting and parting like swallows. Among the bustle walks a man who has learned to be efficient with glances and careful with doors. His name is Zacchaeus. He is small in stature, quick with sums, and practiced at not lingering where eyes might linger back. His job, collecting taxes for a distant power, has paid for good sandals and a sturdy house, but it has also purchased distance. People make room for him the way water makes room for a stone, reluctantly, and with ripples that do not forget. News arrives like wind through reeds. Jesus is coming through Jericho. The road tightens with bodies and hope. Zacchaeus feels curiosity lift inside him, like a bird that has waited too long in a cage. It is not spectacle he wants. It is a look, just to see. But the crowd is taller than his wanting. He tries the edges, but shoulders close like gates. He is used to being met with calculation. Today, he is met with indifference. There is a moment when he could shrug and turn back to his ledgers. Instead, he lifts his eyes and sees a sycamore ahead. Low limbs, generous shade. A ladder already arranged by nature. He runs, this man who usually measures his pace. And he climbs, palms finding bark, soles finding purchase. The tree welcomes him without comment. From his perch, he can see overheads and beyond habits. The road opens like a ribbon, and the procession approaches with the ease of a tide. Jesus draws near. He is not scanning for donors, not calculating potential. simply present, the way a river is present, moving, generous, sure of its direction. When he reaches the sycamore, he stops. He looks up into the leaves, where a small man holds his breath. "Zacchaeus," he says, and the name lands like a gift set carefully on a table. "Hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." The voice is light and confident at once, a guest asking and giving in one breath. The watching town exhales a sentence it knows by heart. He has gone to be the guest of a sinner. It is not wrong about sin. It is wrong about distance. Jesus is not confused. He is deliberate. Hospitality is not a reward here. It is the doorway for change. Zacchaeus climbs down the way people climb when the ground has become a promise. He does not hide his face. He does not negotiate. Joy rises too quickly for caution to catch it. He leads Jesus through the murmuring edge to his courtyard, an olive tree in the corner, a bench smoothed by years, a table that has seen quiet meals and lonely ones. Servants hurry, startled into a rhythm they will remember. Water, bread, figs, a cup. A low laugh from the rabbi breaks the house's stiffness. The room learns a new way to breathe. Sitting there, so simple a thing, Zacchaeus feels the arithmetic inside him rebalancing. The columns he has served for years begin to look thin beside the presence at his table. He does not hear a lecture. He hears his name again in the tone a friend would use when asking how the day truly was. Something long, clenched, opens. Words arrive not as penance demanded, but as joy released. "Behold," he says, the word old-fashioned on his newer tongue. "Half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone, I restore it fourfold." He is not performing generosity. He is being unburdened by it. The house loosens around him, as if the beams relax, as if the bowls shine. The math of restitution does not shrink him. It allows him to stand his full height inside a grace that has found him in a tree and followed him home. Jesus receives the sentence as one receives a child's first step, with delight, not surprise. "Today, salvation has come to this house," he says, one of the few lines we keep small and bright tonight. "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." Not only the man in the branches, but the house itself, the rooms that learned to brace, the door that learned to close, the courtyard that collected silence. Salvation comes as presence, as joy with feet on the floorboards, as a name spoken without accusation. Outside, some still murmur. They cannot quite forgive a feast set where they have kept a ledger. Inside, bread is broken with a gratitude that does not consult their ledger. Zacchaeus tastes flour and olive, and a clean hunger he has been denying, a hunger to be small and loved rather than small and defended, to belong without bargaining, to host without hiding. He looks around and sees what wealth can never purchase, the quiet relief of being known. If you have lived long with the ache of being overlooked or the burden of being defended, this chapter invites you to climb. The ladder is low, the branches patient. Climb above the old vantage where conclusions always came too quickly. Curiosity is not childish, it is brave. Sometimes rest begins with a better view.
Notice how welcome rewrites a day. Jesus does not stand under the tree and deliver a public verdict. He asks for a table. He lets proximity do the work argument cannot. If you are tired of your own speeches, about yourself, against yourself, set a place instead. Invite presence into the room that embarrasses you, the ledger you keep in a drawer, the chair you avoid because it remembers a past conversation. Let kindness sit there and say your name without flinching. And if the murmur of others rises in your ears, old names, old blame, let the leaves answer them. The same branches that carried you up carry back a whisper, "He called me by name." The crowd's sentence loses volume beside that one. The tree becomes a witness. The table becomes an altar.
Your house becomes a place where salvation feels like joy and not a test. Breathe now with the rhythm of coming down safely. In for 4, up. Hold for 2, look. Out for 6, down. Again. Up, look, down. Let each exhale be a descending into welcome, a surrender of poses that kept you tall and tired. Let your shoulders drop the way Zacchaeus dropped from the limb, willing to be seen, because love has already seen you well. Consider restitution as rest, returning what you can return, making right what you can make right. Is not the tax you owe grace. It is the freedom grace teaches. It takes noise out of memory. It clears pathways where your feet had learned to tiptoe. Zacchaeus' promise is not the price of Jesus' presence. It is the response to it. The sigh of relief that says, "I do not want to live defended anymore." Evening sways into the courtyard. Lamps warm the walls. The murmurs outside thin, and then pass like wind across a wheat field. Inside, voices grow low and kind. A servant laughs quietly in the kitchen because the house sounds different. Zacchaeus' hands are steady. He is already making lists, not of what to take, but of whom to bless. Names come easily. Roots appear in his mind the way streams find their way down a slope. He is small and standing tall. Carry one short word to your pillow. Today. Salvation speaks in present tense. Not someday when you have become admirable. Today. In the room you have, with the body you carry, with the breath you can shape, now. If you need another, name. The one who sees you in a crowd, who looks up instead of past, who speaks without scolding and stays without hurry, knows your name and asks for your table. Set your breathing to the house's new quiet. In for 4, today. Hold for 2, name. Out for 6, welcome. Feel your bed take your weight, the way the sycamore took a small man's climb and the floor took his joyful descent. You do not need longer arms or different streets. You need the courage to be seen and the kindness to open your door. Close your eyes. Leaves move a little in a night breeze. A guest laughs softly. A ledger closes. A life that learned to stand on tiptoe relaxes into ordinary height. "Today salvation has come to this house," says a voice that knows the whole story and loves the whole person. Let that sentence hang like a lamp in your room. Let it warm your walls. Sleep under it, the way a welcomed guest sleeps, and the way a host finally sleeps when the house itself is at peace. Evening is drawing its long ribbon across the hills when two travelers leave Jerusalem by the western road. The city is behind them, stone and rumor, emptied hopes and quiet shocks. Their steps are the slow kind that happen when a story ends without the ending you planned. One of them, Cleopas, tells and retells fragments the way tired hands turn a smooth stone. The other listens and answers with nods that admit weariness. Somewhere a shepherd whistles. Somewhere a gate creaks. The sky lowers itself toward lamps that will be lit. A third walker comes alongside, not pushing pace, not demanding space, simply present, as if the road has decided to be kind and give them company. His question is simple enough to invite full sentences. "What are you discussing as you walk?" They stop. Their faces, Luke says, are downcast. Pain tells its plot, and it spills easily. A prophet, mighty in word and deed, hopes that the world would turn at last. Crossbeams on a hill, a sealed tomb, women saying impossible things, and men arriving late to belief. The stranger listens the way rain listens, completely, without interruption, with the patience of someone who knows the whole field needs a soaking. When he finally speaks, it is not to dismiss their grief. It is to braid it into a larger story. He goes back, far back, through law and prophets, the long ache and the longer rescue, promises that survived exile, and fires that did not consume. He speaks as if the road itself remembers, as if the dust in their sandals has been waiting to tell them. None of this is waste. Suffering is not a detour. It is a passage. Love is not surprised by nails. It is stronger than them. The sun slides. The air cools. The day allows itself to be persuaded toward rest. The village appears like a cup in a saucer of hills. They reach the door, and the walkers do what brave people do when they are still unsure. They ask him to stay. "Abide with us," they say in their own words. "Night is near. Stay." He accepts because love does. Inside, the room is ordinary. A table rubbed smooth by years, a loaf under a cloth, a cup that remembers many evenings. They sit. The stranger takes the bread the way a father might, with practiced tenderness. He blesses it, breaks it, and gives. The moment is quiet, but it widens like light. The pattern is unmistakable. The cadence of feeding 5,000 with not enough. The rhythm of a Last Supper served with more than enough. The heartbeat of a world remade by gift. Their eyes are opened. They know him, not because he demands recognition, but because he does what he has always done. He turns hunger into communion. And then he is gone from their sight, not gone as absence, gone as a seed is gone into soil. The room holds a warmth that did not come from fire. Did not our hearts burn within us, they whisper, as he spoke to us on the road. The fire is not a blaze. It is a hearth that asks them to rise. Weariness yields to purpose. They lace sandals with hands that find their strength again. Night is no longer a wall. It is a sky friendly to travelers with good news. They take the road back with steps that are no longer heavy. Jerusalem awaits with its mixture of fear and hope, and they are ready to add heat to hope. In the room where the others have gathered, doors closed against rumor and guards of memory, words begin tumbling. He has appeared to Simon. The women were right. Something larger than fear is unfolding. In the middle of words comes presence again. Peace be with you, he says. The sentence that will be said over and over, until even the anxious believe it belongs to them. He does not hover above their doubt. He stands inside it. He shows what hands and feet look like when love has allowed nails to pass through and still holds. He asks for something simple and human, food, and eats in front of them, because resurrection is not a magic trick. It is a person who can bless a small piece of fish and make a room breathe again. He opens their minds to understand the long arc from promise to fulfillment, and then he does what he has always done. He sends them, not as salesmen of certainty, but as witnesses of mercy, carriers of forgiveness, people who can walk roads and say, "We have seen bread become a doorway." Later, on another hill, he lifts his hands, those hands, and blesses them, the way sunlight blesses a morning sea. He is hidden from sight, not from reach. Joy becomes the unexpected weather over a city that had forgotten how to sing. The disciples do their ordinary things with extraordinary steadiness. They gather, they pray, they wait, they tell. They become bread the many, broken and given with love. Hold Emmaus near your pillow tonight. You are allowed to walk with your disappointment and be joined by a presence who does not scold your pace. You are allowed to say, "Stay," and to discover that staying is what love likes to do. You are allowed to recognize him in the breaking of your small, daily things. Toast, tea, a whispered prayer, and to feel warmth where worry used to sit. If you wake later, imagine a table, a loaf, a hand that blesses more than it needs to, and hear the line we keep short and sure. Peace be with you. Breathe in for 4. Stay. Hold for 2. Known. Breathe out for 6. Peace. Let the road you walked today empty its noise. Let the room you sleep in become a village inn where God loves to be a guest. The risen one walks beside you still, unhurried, sure, and kind. Your eyes will open and close and open again, and each time there will be bread enough for hope. Thank you for walking this gentle road through Luke tonight. You have listened as hope found tired travelers, as quiet houses filled with mercy, as bread in ordinary hands became more than enough. If your day has been loud, let this closing be a small benediction. May the presence who walked beside Zechariah's silence, Mary's yes, fishermen's empty nets, and Emmaus hearts walk beside you now. May the simple words we kept, "Do not be afraid. Take heart. Arise. Go in peace. Listen to him. Peace be with you," settle like small lamps along the hallway of your night. I bless your breath to be unhurried, and your sleep to be honest and deep. I bless your room to feel held, your worries to loosen, your memories to be rinsed with kindness. If you wake, may you find your thoughts seated, clothed, and in their right mind. If you dream, may you dream of tables where all are fed, and roads where companions appear just when you need them. And if tears come, may they be the gentle kind that water seeds of courage. Tomorrow will have its own light. You do not have to carry it now. Tonight belongs to rest. So, beloved listener, lie down in safety. The shepherd keeps watch. The friend stays near. The healer remembers your name. May your heart hear a quiet blessing as you drift. You are seen. You are held. You are home. Sleep in peace and wake in hope.